Hello and welcome to NXTGEN Racing, the home of clean and fair sim racing for all. Hello, good evening and welcome ladies and gentlemen to an all-new season of the NXTGEN Racing Legends Cup as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing and powered by Doble Motorcycles. That's right ladies and gentlemen, after a 10-month break since what was our mini cup all the way back in 2024 and the best part of a 3-year gap since season 2 of the NXTGEN Racing Legends Cup, it is back in its full glory for its third full season. And we heard your request, we heard you screaming out, where are the Ford Legends and the 34s? And well, they are finally back for all your enjoyment over the course of what will be 9 rounds of championship fueled racing. And it all begins today with round 1, number of 9 for what is the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit's smaller cousin, and that is of course the Indy circuit, while drivers will be all making their way out there in full fashion. And well, it'll be 1.19 miles of absolutely fast, furious and frantic racing action like you'd never believe it before. And there's plenty to look forward to, of course, because with the Legends receiving an updated model both on their tyres and also their aerodynamics over the course of what have been the recent iRacing major updates, these machines have been absolutely fine-tuned, and therefore it means the racing is going to be ever closer. And with the introduction of a wet tyre model as well for the Legends, it means that the weather could prove unpredictable over the entirety of the season. Whether it be dry or wet, you can be rest assured in one thing: the racing is going to be absolutely unpredictable all the way to each and every checkered flag. But where are my manners as I welcome you all to this live broadcast of Circuit Side, and you could be tuning in via one of 3 media platforms to your viewing pleasure. We'll be on the 2 official NXTGEN Racing media platforms, firstly on YouTube at youtube.com and search for NXTGEN Racing, and welcome to you guys and girls tuning in via YouTube, including Phil McDougall there. A good evening to you, Phil, and I hope you're doing well. Alternative, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you could be tuning in via what will be at the NXTGEN Racing Facebook group, and that's at facebook.com/groups/NXTGEN Racing, and welcome to you guys and girls that tune in via Facebook. And last but not least, as our third alternative, we do have always the official twitch.tv platform. That's the unofficial broadcast at twitch.tv/TX141, and welcome to you guys and girls tuning in via Twitch. Now, regardless of what media platform you're tuning in via, you're not going to get any preferential treatment. All 3 media broadcasts are going to be exactly the same, and we're going to bring you all the racing action as it unfolds from each and every race of each and every round. And coming into this round, of course, our season opener, we do bring back what is our 3 races per round format. And our schedule for today, times in British Summer Time, that's BST, or Universal Coordinate Time +1 at UTC at +1. As we can see, in just under 18 minutes time, we'll be heading into our opening 15-minute qualifying session at 8 o'clock this evening, as we do see one of our drivers there getting it very, very wrong, coming out to Paddock Hill Bend in the background. And well, that qualifying session is definitely going to see all drivers looking to go for gold and be the one to prove themselves as the fastest driver to start off the day. But then we do have 3 races to follow that up. 2 15-minute races will open up each and every evening, the first being at 8:15 this evening, and that'll be race number 1, after which we'll take a brief break before returning for race number 2 at 9 o'clock this evening. And then we'll be having our third and final race of the evening, our 25-minute feature race, and that'll be at approximately 9:45 where we see our drivers start to make the way to the grid. But as they all get set in the commentary booth for the entirety of the season, you will have myself, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on, and I'll be bringing you all your racing action as it unfolds. And well, we've got plenty to see unfold, as we also say hello there to Andrew Chell in the YouTube chat, and I hope you're doing well, Andy. It's been some time since we've seen you out of the circuit, at least in where's the touring cars, or at least to my eyes, of course, but it's very good to have you tuning in this evening. But as all our drivers make their way into today then, well, what is the season we've got lying in store, you may be asking? Well, here it is. Here is our full calendar for what is the 2025 campaign of Season 3. And as we can see, we begin today on the 13th of May 2025 at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. After today, well, we're going to be staying in the United Kingdom for the entirety of all 9 rounds, with round number 2 seeing our drivers make the way close to Norwich for what is the Snetterton 200 circuit on the 27th of May, where they'll be roaring the way around the outfield layout of the Snetterton circuit, and then they'll be making their way all the way up to Scotland for what will be the Knockhill International circuit on the 10th of June. Then we'll be going to what will be the Silverstone circuit, or the home of British motorsport, and then with the Silverstone National Circuit that plays host on the 24th of June for round number 4, and then for round number 5 we make our way into our summer triple header, which begins with always on the 8th of July, the Cadwell Park circuit. And in goodness me, what a circuit it is, a very narrow circuit at that, but these Legends machines will absolutely thrive around it. And then only a week later, we'll be making our way to the Thruxton circuit, going from one of the lowest speed circuits in the United Kingdom to one of the fastest, if not the fastest, on the 15th of July for what is round number 6. And then in round number 7 to complete our summer triple header, here with the Donington Park National Circuit that plays host on the 22nd of July, with its fast sweeping corners then giving way to the classic Alton Park Island Circuit in our penultimate round on the 5th of August. And then we bring it all to a close by returning to where we all began the story. On the 19th of August, it'll be the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit to bring the curtain down. And as we said, 3 races around, 2 sprints, 1 feature, 27 races over the course of the entire championship campaign. And what a cup championship it's going to be, no doubt about it. And this being run on alternative weeks from the NXTCC, and this already being the support or sister series to the NXTGEN Racing Touring Car Championship. And we're very happy to be able to bring you this alongside Indeed. You're going to be seeing a number of drivers here who will be in the NXTCC, and also you'll see some drivers who are not in the NXTCC, but potentially looking to get to grips with a machine that will give them the opportunity to step forward into NXTCC machinery in a future season. But with our season calendar covered, and indeed an absolutely brilliant tour of the United Kingdom and all the wonderful circuits it has to offer, well, let's come to our circuit for today, because we are near the village of West Kingsdown in the county of Kent in England, the United Kingdom, for the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. And of course, spanning the best part of 1.19 miles and what is 5 corners, as we can see from this brilliant circuit map provided us by iRacing.com, and thank you to iRacing for their brilliant simulator and the fantastic track maps that come with it. It is a circuit which is absolutely iconic on the mind, for the simple reason, as the drivers make the way around here, it's going to be short, it's going to be sweet, and with the lap times being at what is the best part of 52 seconds in length, just shy of 52, in fact getting down to 51 seconds in qualifying and fast practice pace, as we are seeing some drivers do so as I look out my Conte booth window. Well, it's a circuit whereby in its short nature, it does pack a lot in to a very short distance. With Paddock Hill Bend at turn number 1, as the drivers make the way over the ascent and down the drop, all the way up towards the rise of turn number 2 at the Druids Bend, the hairpin there, we can expect plenty of 2, perhaps even 3 wide action. As they come out of Druids, it'll be a downhill run in towards Graham Hill Bend at turn number 3, and as they come off of the left-hand right-angle corner, they'll roar their way up towards turns 4 and 5, coming from McLean's and into, well, in fact, McLaren's, I should say, not to get confused with McLean's at Donington Park, but coming from McLaren's and in towards Clearways at turn number 5, with a complete lap as they charge their way to the start-finish lines to do it all over again as they come to the end of what will be the Paddock Hill Straight. But as I try to get ready to go racing today, well, of course, we can't go racing without rules, and let's give you an overview of the rules for this championship. As we can see, this is a fixed setup series of all drivers being provided with setups ahead of each and every race and round. Now, driver classes, you will see 2 classes on the grid for the purposes of this season. You'll see the pros, those are our fastest drivers, and you'll also see primes, who are not as fast as our pros, but looking to try and make a name for themselves, and they'll be competing in both the overall and the prime championship, whereas our pros will be dedicated to the pro class championship, or the overall championship, if you will. They're not going to be scoring points based on their class finisher position, but they'll score points overall, whereas our primes score points both overall and in their class. But we'll be finalising those classes as the conclusion of round number 3. So you may see some chop and change over the course of the first couple of rounds of the season, and don't be alarmed if you do, for the simple reason it's all where we're trying to balance out our classes and make sure the right drivers are in the correct class, and therefore they are going to be battling against their peers who we feel are the right people for them to be battling against. In standard next-gen racing fashion, we always like to make sure the racing is as close as humanly possible. As all of our drivers come into today, well, with the 3 sprint races, you may be wondering, well, how exactly will the grids be set for them? Well, the race 1 grid shall be set based on the results of qualifying. Now, that's given. When we go to race number 2, we shall see the race 2 grid set as a top 15 reverse grid based on the results of race number 1. What does that mean in layman's terms? I hear you ask. Well, it means we take the finisher positions from race number 1, and where whoever finished on pole, or the first place position, well, they're going to be the one who ends up starting at 15th place of race number 2. Meanwhile, the driver who finished in 15th place in race number 1, well, they're suddenly put to the top of the pile for race number 2's grid, and those who finished 16th and downwards, well, they are going to be starting exactly where they finished, and they'll pick up from where they left off in the previous race. And when we go to race number 3, well, just to keep things even more interesting, it is going to be a full reverse grid. That's right, ladies and gents, but not a partial, a full reverse grid based on the results of race number 2, by any driver who finishes race number 2 will be eligible for that full reverse grid. And I can tell you one thing, we're expecting the best part of 30 drivers to be on the grid of each and every round, and therefore with a full 30 driver reverse grid, well, that's only going to keep things incredibly interesting all the way over the distance. And well, you can imagine some drivers who may not normally see the front of the grid in races 1 and 2, will be seeing an opportunity and try and take an overall victory there, and could they spring some surprises. positions. In each race, we shall see one fast repair is available, but otherwise we're not expecting any pit stops for any of our drivers unless they've got to repair the car. Alternatively, well, they could be subject to some drive-through penalties for race stewarding, and that's right, we do have race stewarding in effect for the purposes of this Cup Series, and as we can see, an independent race director shall be stewarding the races for track limit infringements and deployment of the safety car. Now, for those track limit infringements, those pesky track limits always getting on the nerves of some of our drivers, well, for the first and second warnings, there's no penalty. You pick up a third warning, you get a 5-second post-race time penalty, we double it to 10 on the fourth warning, and on the fifth warning, it becomes a drive-through penalty. Drive-through penalties must be served when 3 laps have been awarded, and meanwhile racing incidents shall be reviewed post-round. Well, there's your overview there in terms of all the rules and regulation. There's no success balance to anything of the like there. That's the difference in the NXTCC as well as the machinery. So let's head back to circuit side, and as we do, well, let's look to some of our drivers making their way on around right now, including none other than what is Adam Delmont as he roars his way on through here with the remaining 10 minutes of this practice warm-up session as he comes on down in towards Paddock Hill and then up towards Druid. We'll racing for NXTGEN Green there in the very lime green liveried machine, and we're currently our 6th fastest driver out there, and we do have 24 drivers in attendance so far, and we are expecting a couple more to potentially make the way to the grid before all is said and done. But as he makes his way on through at turn number 3, the car hopping over the apex curve at turn number 3, and you're going to see plenty of moments where these Legends machines are going to end up on 2 wheels, and that's how fast and hard our drivers are going to be racing them. Well, the fastest driver out there at the moment is none other than Isaac Doble as he comes out of what is turn number 3 there, and well, the pro driver in the NXTCC and also outside the simulator in real life, I do believe what is the Fiesta Juniors racer who'll be racing up at what will be Mallory Park this coming weekend. If you are in the region, definitely go and say hello to him for the simple reason he's trying to take on what will be his first championship crown, and it was Isaac Doble makes his way around right now. The Doble Sim Racing driver there looking to be very fast in his Legends machine. I think he'll be giving his brothers a run for their money, and well, we do have his older brother Mikey Doble on the grid there as he heads up towards what will be at turn number 1, albeit separating him from what is his brother was a couple of cars, including the NXTGEN Pink Machine of Jamie Dory, as Mikey Doble then makes his way down through Paddock Hill Bend, and I think using this as an opportunity to blow a little bit of steam from what is racing the NXTCC and also the BTCC, and well, the Brands Hatch circuit being his local circuit didn't quite work out for him at the weekend in what was rounds 4, 5 and 6 of the BTCC Championship. So if you may be tuning into that in person or indeed on the television, where race number 1 definitely worked out for him, but races 2 and 3 unfortunately did not go the way he wanted to, but sometimes that's the way it goes. But as he makes his way on around there, well, from a number of pro drives out there, let's talk about some of our prams as well, and you're going to be seeing Track Scotland's Kieran Smart making his way on around there as the sparks fly from the under tray of the number 39, and as he makes his way up the rise, a very fast driver in his own right, and one who's been improving time and time again over the course of multiple rounds of racing NXTGEN Racing Series, and a driver who I suspect, give it a couple more seasons and we could definitely see him perhaps even at the end of the current NXTCC season and the end of this one making his way into the pro category, because he definitely does have a lot of pace under his fingertips, and the only driver in the pram class who's faster than him currently, well, coincidentally enough, is a fellow Track Scotland driver, and it's Stuart Wyness who's currently in the pit lane, all parked up and absolutely itching to go. And well, the 2 Track Scotland drivers really delivering in this practice session for the prams, but we do have plenty of other prams out there as well, including the man who's flying the Union Jack as he makes his way on around there, and that is none other than Thomas Delaney. And well, the 555 driver back once again. We're very happy to see him here once again. He did a very fast drive in his own right, and one of those drives who definitely enjoys trying to give it everything and pushing it to the limit. Hasn't always worked out in the NXTCC, but it definitely is going to work out in the Legends, and he has had some great performances in the past in the Legends, and he'll be hoping to try and echo his former glory. We also do have a Lewis Mason as he makes way out there in the Aztec Racing 991. Very lovely livery on that Legends machine, it must be said, and indeed definitely stands out, not like a sore thumb, stands out very proudly amongst them all. He has a very slow run through Paddock Hill Bend, I think trying to get himself up to speed as the number 14 makes his way through on the inside in towards what will be Druid's Corner, and that was, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, with the number 14 there being Cal Murray, or Callum Murray as he's known in full, and there he is representing NXTGEN Green alongside Lewis Delmont and Adam Delmont. And well, where are my manners? If we've got Callum Murray on the grid, part of NXTGEN Green, then we do have the Delmont family on the grid as well. And coming back to a pro, here's number 37 of Adam Delmont, the ever cheerful man, the man who's yet to take a championship in the NXTCC, but definitely has picked up some big prizes in Legends in previous seasons, and we're right now looking to go on strong here today and get his championship campaign well and truly underway. Now, of course, coming into what is this season, if we are to regale you with regards to what is the previous form, well, based on the Mini Cup which occurred 10 months ago. Well, overall, it would be Kieran Sharp, and he is currently in the pit lane for the Sim Racing Collective esports team. He is the man who was the fastest pro over the course of the championship season in the overall category, albeit our camera's not able to get a good view of him as parked up there, but he's the man to be in the overall championship, and our pro driver there very standing proud in the number 15. And meanwhile, in what is the AM class, well, it was the AM class then, but now known as the Pro-Am class, it's Nick Clibbens, and I believe Nick Clibbens making his way on through there, albeit parked up at the moment and just taking a bit of a peaceful sit there. In fact, practicing a start is Nick Clibbens as he makes his way underway. And as he does so, well, getting himself up to speed here, where it was a bit of a shorter grid, or a smaller grid, it could be said, in what was the Mini Cup, the best part of what was almost a year ago. But we do have an absolutely full grid here once again, going into season number 3, and it's absolutely wonderful to see. As we also say hello there in the Facebook chat to Lee Horn, and well, thank you, Lee. It's good to be back behind the microphone for the Legends, and well, we're very happy to see you out of circuits. We do see the NXTGEN Racing driver in the 36, that lovely livery there, it must be said. I wonder if that's a Mark Sykes Designs machine making its way on around, and I suspect it is in terms of livery, because those liveries absolutely standing proud. And indeed, Mark Sykes outdoing himself there with regards to the coloration and also the reflection coming off of Lee Horn's car, and well, absolutely beautiful. That is going to go down a treat for the photographers in the near vicinity, no doubt about it, as he roars his way around and as he makes his way in towards turn number 1. If you do see what is some slight adjustments occurring to what is the broadcast in the background, or you see it refresh itself, don't panic. You don't have to adjust your TV or what is your computer screen or indeed your mobile phone, depending on what you're using. It is simply the fact that we are currently loading some driver data in the background, and therefore you will every so often see the overlay refresh. And well, that won't be happening too many times, but of course, with this being the season opener, we do normally have some driver data coming in quite late in the day. It's always the way, but once we do get it sorted, then all those refreshes will suddenly disappear. And well, as our drivers get themselves set, not long to go now, as we do see a bit of a refresh there. And well, as our drivers make the way on through, I can definitely see there Andrew Chill saying in the YouTube chat that he, much like Phil McDougall, wishing he'd signed up and might try and sneak in for round number 2. Well, if you are sat there right now, and by the end of today's broadcast, you've got a massive itch to scratch with regards to what is going racing in the Legends. There are plenty of spaces available. Indeed, it's a completely open series, albeit there is a small financial fee in order to be able to join on the grid, but it's a very small fee compared to what you might see in other sim racing series around the world. And if you are able to get yourself on the grid, you're going to be in aim for an absolutely lovely time of racing, no doubt about it, and it's going to be plenty for you to enjoy. But as we do see there, what is a bit of a moment for what is Ian Manners. We're just checking in with race control very briefly, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to tonight's racing, just to make sure all details are ready and set to go and everything's okay for our drive. So give us one brief moment. Well, everything is good to go, ladies and gentlemen. We have just had what is confirmation that we have got the all clear with regards to going racing today. And well, as we all get set and ready, it's looking as though it is going to be a very happy day of racing, no doubt about it. And well, as we just get another message coming in, and we briefly see one of our drivers making a bit of a absolute understeering moment in towards turn number 5. We're just going to check in with one last bit of update and information. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Everything's sorted, as we do say hello there as well to Jack Pittus in at the YouTube chat. And well, I do believe we've got our race director and also our safety car driver all set. Oh, goodness me, that's a big moment there for Nick Clibbens in the number 13. And well, I think those are flames on the side of his Legends machine. As we can see there, the number 27, Sam Smith, getting a bit of a nudge. The two iRace esports drivers there, both ending up towards the barrier, are coming out of turn number 1 on the inside, giving each other a nudge there, a bit of a comical nudge. And this is a great series as well for drivers to play blow off a bit of steam. But don't worry if you're wondering, is it going to be very casual? Well, it'll start off casual, but once they do make their way onto the grid and go racing, I can imagine they are definitely going to start to take things very, very serious indeed. And, well, as we do see, what is that? Isaac Doble following brother Mikey around. Well, right now, Mikey Doble, the fastest driver out there by only what is 400ths, if that, 39 thousandths to be a little bit more precise, but Isaac following right in his footsteps there, and I can imagine the slipstream is going to be just as potent. But with regards to what is the slipstream and things that have changed in the aerodynamics and the tyre model of these Legends machines, well, the one thing that is definitely the most prominent, and you're going to see it plenty in the racing, is the fact that these cars now pick up an absolutely huge tow off each other on the straights. And even if you are the best part of a second back, you will suddenly pull a lot of speed on the straights and get very close to the car in front, and therefore it does mean that we will be seeing what will be defined as pack racing. So imagine the Tour de France, albeit rather than being cyclists on two wheels, you're going to be seeing drivers in Legends in four wheels, and well, they're going to be absolutely roaring the way around and staying as close as humanly possible to each other. And we'll keep in mind these are very lightweight machines that are only 558 kilograms with regards to having a driver in them as well on average, and 135 horsepower Yamaha MT09 engines as married to a 6-speed manual transmission. Put that all together, you have got an absolutely lightweight challenger of a machine. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this Cups challenge underway, because it is time to make way into qualifying. Who is going to be on pole? Let's find out. So without further ado, qualifying it gets underway. All the drivers are absolutely set, absolutely itching to go. And as they all do, well, they all pile their way out of the pit lane as quickly as humanly possible. And you can understand why they're all very eager to try and make sure they are going to be the first one out there in order to get themselves a little bit of space out on circuit and get themselves set up. So what can we expect in qualifying then? Well, everybody's in equal machinery. Everybody is going to be giving it everything. But you'll want to try and find a driver who you can run with and definitely try to pick up a bit of a slipstream. At first, it's going to be about getting those tyres up to temperature, but they very quickly do cut to temperature and they can last quite a bit of time before they start to show significant wear. So add that together, and therefore it means the likes of Jamie Dory, he may be the first out the pit lane, but he's going to be looking for somebody to work with as we go deeper into qualifying, because as the fuel comes out of the car, well, the one thing will be it's a lighter car, and if you can pick up a bit of slipstream, you can gain the hundredths or even the tenths that are needed to put yourself from what might be on the fifth row of the grid all the way to the front row, if not pole position. And all the drivers will be trying to work together as best as they possibly can in order to make it a reality. But as they roll the way on through, well, we are seeing just one other driver making the way onto the grid. I do believe that is the car of Andrew Pike, but we are just getting some data loaded for in the background. And well, as he makes his way on in, the Sim Racing Collective driver will be getting himself all set and ready to go very quickly indeed, as he makes his way into what is the Pro Class once again for this season. And well, he is going to be one of the drivers to be in the Pro Class, no doubt about it, as he has proven to be a very, very fast driver in previous seasons and Cups of the Legends. But as all drivers make their way through, it's always going to be the question of who's going to make themselves a bit of a legend, and I suspect we are going to see quite a few stories come away from today, let alone all 9 rounds of the Cup. But as we do look to Kieran Sharp making his way on through, or Mr. Sharpie as he's known to his colleagues at what is, well, Average Sharpie, I do believe he's known as to his colleagues in the Sim Racing Collective. That's the nickname. Indeed, there are quite a few nicknames amongst the Sim Racing Collective drivers, with always Kieran Sharp being known as Average Sharpie or just Sharpie, and Andrew Pike being known as Mr. Fish. But those first lap times are coming on through, and we do see the questionnaire coming from Sergio Cabral in the YouTube chat saying, can we still sign up for this? Yes, you can. I believe there are still vacancies on the grid, albeit not for this round tonight. For round 2 onwards, there will be. And all you need to do, Sergio, is go to the NXTGEN Racing Discord, and we'll tell you about how you can get into the NXTGEN Racing Discord at the end of today's broadcast. Go there, speak to the administrators, let them know you want to be on the grid for the NXTGEN Legends Season 3 Cup, and then we will work out with you what the entry fee is, because there was an entry fee to get on the grid here, albeit it was a small entry fee, and it will be, I suspect, reduced very slightly if you're only able to join midway through the season, but I can't make any promises there. That's for the admins to discuss with you. But the thing is, get in discussion, and I'm sure you're going to be on the grid as quickly as humanly possible, and much like these Legends will be as quickly as humanly possible, making the way around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. But as we also say hello to John Higgins there, And well, hope you're doing well, John. It's been some time since we've seen you on the grid. We'd love to see you back on the grid in the near future. And well, I do believe we are going to be seeing John Higgins Jr. on the grid at some point this season, as he has signed up, albeit not able to make today, but I suspect he will be here. But I hope the Higgins family are all doing well. And well, John, a very established racer in our NXTCC and previous Legends seasons, and well, now supporting his son Junior and giving it his all, both on the real life circuit and on the simulated circuit. And it's absolutely great to see a father take a huge amount of pride and interest in his son, and indeed reminds me of the interest my own father took in me when I was growing up. But still, enough about me and my family, and indeed let's come on to our racing family here out on the circuit. And as they all do, well, we do see Isaac Doble is the fastest driver out there at the moment, and well, the youngster right now, he may be young, but his youth belies his absolutely brilliant pace as he makes his way on through. They're not able to improve, but Mikey Doble does there, picking up the best part of a three-car tow, particularly off the back of Jamie Dory. And as he now moves up into second place, well, only at 600ths off of what is Isaac's pole time, very close between the two of them, but we are going to see those lap times continue to evolve as we go deeper and deeper into the session. Remember, we did see the fastest time in what was the final practice session be a 51, so we are expecting 51s to arrive at some point over the distance of the qualifying session, but they've got plenty of time in which to try and get them done. But as our drivers all continue to make their way on around, well, Andrew Pike's making his way on through there in number 57, albeit yet to get a lap on the board. He's just left the pit lane and making his way up through Druids, and I believe really getting some sighting laps in at the moment, just trying to get himself acquainted with the Ford Legends 34 Coupe as he makes his way on around. And as he does so, well, I think also chasing after what will be the Aztec racing machines in front of him, Matthew Cheverton being one of them in the 390. Also, we did see what was there Lewis Mason, who will be in the Pro-Am class, Matthew Cheverton being in the Pro class, and some very familiar names here indeed, some big stars in the NXTCC grids of previous seasons. But as they make their way towards the timeline, what can Cheverton do here? He's currently 24th. Does he improve this time as he crosses the line? And the answer is going to be no, he doesn't. I think he gets himself set up once again as he roars his way on through. But as he does so, well, Mikey Doble is now your provisional pole sitter on a 51.968. So he's found a little bit more time out there. And indeed, that's a sign there's more time to be gained. But now we are starting to get into the territory where it's marginal gains as the fuel comes out of the car. And also it's all about finding the slipstream off one of your rivals or one of your teammates in order to be able to gain a bit more time. Now, I believe there's no teams championship up for grabs here, although you will see a number of drivers representing teams. There'll be a whole medley of independent privateers and official teams making their way on around there, and there will be some bragging rights, particularly independent privateers who want to try and take on the big names such as Doble Sim Racing and NXTGEN Racing. And as they make their way towards the timeline, well, let's bring you an on-board lap with one of our drivers, ladies and gentlemen. And in fact, I think we're going to be getting an on-board lap very shortly with Mr. Sharpie, or Kieran Sharp, in the number 15 as he makes his way towards the time in line. So he powers his way along, and indeed we get that lovely view from just the side of the driver. We head into turn at one then, at the best part of 111 miles an hour onto the brakes. There about 80 meters from corner apex, trail braking his way on through down to fourth gear, and now out of the corner he goes, run as wide as humanly possible, coming out of Paddock Hill Bend, now in towards Druids. Holding the brakes here at the 50 meter board all the way down to the second gear, as that was Sam Bradley stepping aside, and out of the corner he goes there. And also we just had a big spin there for Ian Manners. Down the hill they go, and sharp now into Graham Hill Bend, braking about 75 meters from corner apex, sliding his way and slicing the car over the apex curb as he now makes his way on towards what is turn number 4 as he comes into left into right combination of McLaren's corner here, where it's all about mounting that initial curb and in straight line over the second to set up the long braking run in towards clearways, go nice and deep, drop to third gear, and now feed the power in and full throttle all the way out, fighting with a little bit of power oversteered there as Sharp now just makes his way up towards the timeline. And where it's been a smooth start to lap, the middle sector was a little bit compromised. What's it going to be at the end of the lap? And in the end for Kieran Sharp, it is going to be, it's not an improvement, he stays 11th, but Andrew Pike meanwhile just jumps ahead of him. At the same time they're moving up to 10th at 52.410, so therefore some good laps coming from the Sim Racing collector drivers, albeit Sharp still trying to find some time. Meanwhile Andrew Pike suddenly leaping his way up the ladder as we head towards what is the middle section of what is this qualifying portion. And indeed we're going to be over the halfway point in short order. Well, currently a little bit further down we've got Mark Sykes there in the triple, well, we used to be known as the 666 machine, but he's changed to the 499 for the purposes of this season of the Legends. And as he makes his way on around, we're heading in towards what will be turns at 4 and 5 very quickly, left into right he goes, bouncing over the curbs there, and the car being very quickly unsettled. Indeed, very lightweight machines, therefore they can become unsettled very easy if you take a lot of curb. And as he makes his way way around and up towards what will be turn number 1. Well, right now, Sykes still trying to find a bit of time out as Matthew Sheraton moves up to 24th on a 53.150. And, well, given the fact that we do have what is only a second separating the top 18 from Isaac Doble all the way to Lewis Delmont, and Cal Murray has now improved to 19th place, the Pro-Am driver, and, well, it is showing that it is incredibly close in qualifying, albeit the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, much like many of our short circuits, being those circuits whereby every 10th, 1,000th and 100th matters, and, well, it's understandable there why the margins are so small, and even the smallest improvements could suddenly see you leap your way up as Isaac Doble makes his way then out of the final corner and into the pit lane he decides to go. He was purple in sector 1, so Isaac Doble is finding some time out there, albeit I think he now knows he's got to go a little bit more, and that time is still to come with the remaining time in the session as both Isaac and his brother Mikey are leaving the pit lane as I look out my commentary booth window. And meanwhile we look to the fastest Pro-Am driver out there of Kieran Smart with a distant camera view as he heads in towards what will be the start-finish straight, and the 39 comes charging on past us, and as it does so, well, Kieran Smart right now, he's looking strong, but how much further can he go up the board there? He is 3.5 tenths off of overall pole position held by Isaac Doble, but Smart is definitely trying to put in an even stronger lap here to give himself a bit more breathing room to second place Pro-Am driver of Nick Clibbins as the iRacing Esports driver, smoothly making his way along there, just absolutely taking it nice and easy as he makes his way along the backstretch. And I think this is to try and find one of his teammates in order to work with them and also make sure not to give the slipstream to any other driver as he now lets that pack of cars go on through and he just gradually builds up the speed. So therefore Clibbins are starting to find a bit of space on circuit. He's got to be cognizant of the fact he has got a pack of cars coming up behind him, and there you'll see them make their way through very quickly, and I believe that is going to be Kieran Sharp being one of them, also number 11 there making its way on through unless I'm mistaken. And as he makes his way out to the right hander, he has picked up what is his iRacing Esports teammate in the number 27, and that number 27 being, I believe, Sam Smith, albeit Smith a bit compromised there coming out of that corner as they head towards the timing line. What's it going to be between these two as Gavin Garner just in the front of the picture improves to 11th on a 52.367, so Gardner suddenly finding a bit of time, and indeed a lot of drivers right now, I think it really is the case that if they haven't found the time so far in this session, they are going to do so. And speaking of one who's going to do so, well, Adam Delmont here keeps it nice and tight to the inside initially, albeit he suffered a little bit in the final sector, but he's improved in sectors 1 and 2, so Delmont knows he's got more time out there in the number 37, but he's currently 6th, and that's where he's remained after that lap. But how much more time can he find in the fact he was up there by the best part of what was the 10th on that previous lap, and I think he's imagining right now that it's all coming down to that final sector where things seem to not be quite gluing together as much as he would like. But with 5 minutes left on the clock, well, right now for Adam Delmont, time is running out here to try and put himself right on that front row if he's able to do so. And, well, Isaac Doble, meanwhile, still looking to be in control of this by 1.3 tenths over Mikey Doble. It could be a double sim racing 1-2 in qualifying, but Lee Horn, much like Jamie Dory, with number 36 driver right now trying to make sure that Double Sim Racing do not lock out that front row, and the 36 driver here coming over the crest and around for turn number 5 and following in Jamie Dory's footsteps as we jump on board with Lee Horn for a flying lap. So he makes way out towards the timeline. The previous lap we had was 111 miles an hour at the braking zone 8 approach, and well, it's going to be the same here for Lee Horn in towards Paddock Hill Bend at the apex, 80 miles an hour as he feeds the throttle back in, fighting with the steering wheel there as he comes out of the corner, dealing with the natural off-camber nature and into the braking zone for turn number 2. We do see a driver stepping up wide there to give all the space. Or Hornet not compromising Druids whatsoever as he comes down in towards Graham Hill Bend. Into left-hander he goes. You can see Dorian front getting very close to the back of what is the car of Lewis Delmont, meanwhile, as they have him out to turn number 3, holding on the left-hand side there while the drivers giving space to everyone coming on through. Horn now absolutely shuffling his way through turn 4, A and 4B, into the braking zone for turn number 5, going into clearways, and we'll fight him with the steering wheel there. A bit of understeer initially on entry. A lot of drivers suffering from that as they break their way uphill, trying to carry as much speed as possible to go for what is a late apex. But of course, the later you break, the more speed you carry. Then you've got to suddenly shed that speed at the last possible moment as Horn crossed the line. His middle sector was an improvement, but he hasn't improved over the whole lap distance. Jamie Dory, meanwhile, moves up to 3rd place on a 51.974, so he becomes the 3rd driver to put together what has been a 51 under qualifying pressure. And, well, right now, can anybody else improve out there? That is the big challenge, as we do see what is the very proud 61 of Stuart Winus right behind, tucking in here, and everyone right now trying to leech the tar off each other. And I think Winus realising if he can latch onto the back of this pack of very fast qualifiers, which is Dory, Delmont and also Horn, then he'll be able to find some time, and therefore he can move himself up from 10th place, because it is currently Kieran Smart, his teammate for Track Scotland, who's the fastest of the primes. We see Horn stepping aside there as he makes his way out to the final corner. Does Winus, what's he going to be there as he heads towards the line? Well, Ben Gregory's jumped up to 9th place on a 52.284. Lewis Delmont heads towards the line here. In fact, that is Adam Delmont there in the foreground of the camera shot. And what you can see up there, Winus jumps up to 7th on a 52.214. So that slipstream has massively helped him. But there's even more time out there as Wayne Douglas comes on through. And Douglas has proven to be the fastest driver of everybody in Sector 1. He's on a personal best in Sector 2. Can Douglas suddenly move up from what will be the 5th row of the grid all the way to the front of it? It's looking a very good lap as Isaac Doble's gone purple in the middle sector. When they come to line, what's it going to be? Isaac Doble crosses the line then, and he does not improve. Neither does Wayne Douglas. It all fell apart in the final sector, and Douglas losing it there, coming out Paddock Hill Bend, grinds his way to the grass and comes to a halt, but Wayne Douglas pushing it to a limit, and in the end finding those limits right in short order. Meanwhile, some other drivers out there we're looking to find a bit more time. Nigel stopped there for Crest Autosport as he makes way across the timeline there. You'll typically see him in the Next Gen Racing GT3 Championship, and a very friendly driver, no doubt about it, and one that's absolutely loved up and down the grid. And well, I've had the pleasure of seeing him race in a number of Legends series and also in the NXTCC in seasons past, as well as the GT3 Championship. Indeed, he's one of the veterans of Next Gen Racing series. I think he's been on the grid as long as I've been in the commentary booth with Next Gen, which would be the best part of 4.5 years now, if my memory serves me correctly. Goodness me, the time it does fly, but the point being the stock right now looking to be absolutely trying to push forward here, but the problem is currently in 7th place in the Pro-Am class, and I don't think he's able to find that much time out there as he makes his way in towards the last corner, and we might have to make it over the race distance as Alan McCain and Sam Smith are both in the pit lane. Well, McCain's leaving the pits, but he won't have time to get another lap in unless he's going to absolutely squeeze it in, and I don't think he's going to be able to, given the fact we've got less than 50 seconds left on the clock, as we do see Stott making his way across the timeline, get one more lap in, and can he make his way from what would be the 9th row of the grid all the way up towards the top 10? Well, that's going to be the challenge that confronts him then as he makes his way on around. But if he can make it happen, it's going to need some magic, but it could be some good magic at that as he roars his way out of Druids Bend. And as he does so, we do look towards Andrew Pike, who heads towards the line, tucked into the tyre of Kieran Sharp, and Pike, working with his teammate there, launches his way up to 8th on a 52.188. So great lap there as the Sim Racing Collector drivers work together. Callum Murray, meanwhile, he's following in the slipstream of West Lewis Delmont as they come on through, and as they make the way to the timing line, what's it going to be between the two of them here? And it does look as though Indian for Murray was 21st. He doesn't improve, nor does Isaac Doble, who goes purple in the final sector. So Isaac Doble's got a lot there, but he hasn't quite been able to put the entire lap together to improve it further. Thomas Delaney does not improve despite being in the slipstream. Nigel Stott comes on through then. Well, we started with watching his final lap, and we're going to end by watching his final lap, and he doesn't improve there, and he stays in 18th place as his best qualifying position. Can anybody else improve out there? Adam Delmont following Jamie Dory to line. He's currently 9th, and Adam Delmont moves up to 4th there on a 52.024. So Adam Delmont leaves it right to the close of the qualifying session, and that's a brilliant lap to put him on the 2nd row of the grid alongside good friend and long-term rival Jamie Dory. Lee Horn and Kieran Sharp get demoted to the 3rd row of the grid, but it is going to be a Doble 1-2 here in our opening qualifying session of Season 3 in the Next Gen Legends Cup, and a pair of legends do seem to rise here in the form of Isaac Doble, who takes pole position ahead of Mikey Doble, but only by 1.3 tenths, and it all coming down to the deployment of the toe. But I can tell you one thing, Isaac Doble absolutely delivering here, and it's brilliant to see as we do have Matthew Cheverton cross line. He moves up to 23rd, Thomas Delaney moves up to 21st, and those will be the final qualifying laps registered, ladies and gentlemen, and that brings qualifying to a close here at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit for what is round number 1 of the championship ahead of race number 1, and it is going to be Isaac Dolan over on Pro Pole, and in the Pro-Am class where it's going to be a row 4 lockout for Track Scotland. Kieran Smart just slightly ahead of Stuart Winus, only by the best part of 100th if that, as we now make our way to the grid for our first race of the season. So as the drivers make the way onto the grid, this is how they'll line up for race number 1 of the day. And as we can see, it is Isaac Doble who's taken up pole position for Doble Sim Racing. He's joined on the front row by Mikey Doble, his teammate. Then on row number 2, it's going to be the pairing of Jamie Dory for Next Gen Racing and Next Gen Green's Adam Delmont. From them, it'll then be Lee Horn who starts 5th for Next Gen Racing ahead of the Sim Racing Collective Esports Kieran Sharp, with Kieran Sharp making some late gains in that qualifying session, but not quite able to put it all together. And then on row number 4, it's going to be a Pro-Am lockout with your Pro-Am pole sitter Kieran Smart there for Track Scotland in the company of his fellow countryman and teammate Stuart Winus. And between the two of them, well, in the end, it was only 6 thousandths. Andrew Pike starts 9th for the Sim Racer Collective Esports, ahead of Wayne Douglas for Douglas Motorsport. And outside the top 10, we've still got plenty more drivers to go through, because starting best to rest 11th, it's been Gregory the Privateer. He's going to be in the company of Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports, and then we do have Gavin Garner for NXTGEN Racing, ahead of iRacing Esports' Alan McCain, with Sam Smith starting 15th, the Privateer just ahead of Full Tilt V Motorsports' Ben Altria. And then we do have Sam Bradley starting 17th in the number 69, ahead of the 30 of Nigel Stott, the battle of the two Privateers on the 9th row of the grid. That's going to be an intriguing one to see. Lewis Mason will begin his journey at 19th of the grid for Aztec Racing, ahead of Lewis Delmont. The two Lewises, they will go toe-to-toe. And behind the next-gen green driver, starting in 21st place, it is going to be what will be Thomas Delaney. They'll have Cal Murray starting 22nd for next-gen green, ahead of Matthew Sheraton for Aztec Racing. 24th will go the way of Ian Manners. And on the final full row of the grid, indeed the final row of the grid to make up all of our drivers, the 13th row, it will be William Kurtler for Aztec Racing and Mark Sykes and next-gen racing, who starts 26th out of 26 qualifiers. Well, that is the grid, ladies and gentlemen, as all drivers gradually make their way into their positions, and well, they're not going to be held for too long before we do go green flag racing, I can tell you that. But they're all absolutely itching to go, and we're still waiting for a few drivers to get into position there. They are being read the rights act, I do believe, as they are going through a brief driver's briefing at the moment, so therefore there is going to be a little bit of a pause before we do go racing. So that's why we are just quietly sitting here with regards to the grid. But in the meantime, well, if you're wondering a little bit more about these Legends machines, if you're looking for a few more details as to all about them, well, these cars, they are, whilst they are based on 1934 chassis, they are modern cars. Essentially, they have been built by a dedicated company, and they're manufactured by US Legends Cars International and imported around the world, and a staple of American support series, but they've made their way to the United Kingdom and even further abroad. And as we said earlier, they are lightweight, only 558 kilograms, and utilising a 135 horsepower Yamaha MT09 engine. You add that all together, plus the 6-speed manual gearbox, and what it means is you've got a car you can chuck into corners, you can absolutely enjoy, and it's also a car which is very rewarding to get it right, and a car that will teach you all the basics when it comes to racing in a pack, and indeed by yourself, and looking to go for the ultimate lap, and also managing slipstream. But as all of our drivers will start to think about the slipstream, they'll think about the toe, and their dreams of taking victory, well, the last couple of cars are making their way into grid. And of course, we'll be seeing a lot of circuits this season, short layouts of what is their host venues, for example Silverstone National, also here at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, Donington Park National, just name a couple. And the shorter circuits always seem to generate the best of the racing, although we do have some longer circuits out there, including the Thruxton circuit with its one and only loud, which will feel a bit more like junior NASCAR, if you will. And also we do have what we likes of Cadwell Park. But the last of our cars getting into position, I do believe the 10-second countdown has now been afforded to them. The gridding process is complete, ladies and gentlemen. Jamie Dory will be starting from the pit lane, but it's Isaac Doe on the left, Mikey Doe on the right. And for the first time this season, as all 5 red lights go on, they go out. It's race number 1 of the championship that gets underway here as Isaac Doe gets a reasonable start. Mikey Doe has a slow start by comparison. And as they make their way towards turn number 1, well, with a couple of cars missing on the grid, as they make their way through in towards the right-hander, it's going to be an absolute battle right now as they roar the way up towards what will be turn number 2. Into that braking zone they go, and Adam Delmont are right now battling side by side there with Kieran Sharp as they make their way through the corner. No change between them at the moment as they come on down, albeit I believe there's been a bit of an incident, a car pointing in the wrong direction. Oh goodness me, it's all gone wrong there as cars rolling about, and our Legends already having a big coming together at turn number 2, and we will try and get an understanding as to what exactly has happened there in short order, ladies and gentlemen. It's all gone wrong for a couple of drivers, but right now it's going right for others as Isaac Doe continues to lead as he makes his way in towards turn number 5, and as he comes on out, well, Mikey Doe immediately close behind, and that lead pack already starting to bunch together as they roar their way up towards the end of the start-finish straight. And well, we see Mikey look for a move on Isaac? I don't think so. So after one lap, it is Isaac Doe who leads ahead of Mikey Doe in second. Kieran Sharp is in third. Adam Delmont is fourth ahead of Lee Horn, followed by Andrew Pike. And then we do have your leading Pro-Am driver of Kieran Smart following this top 6 pack. Stuart Winesme on a bit of a lonely 8th place at the moment. He's been able to break away slightly from Benjamin Gregory, the Full Tilt V Motorsport driver, tucking in 9th. And then we do have Alan McCain completing your top 10, 3rd place Pro-Am driver, with 11th place going to Nick Clemens currently, a bit side by side there between Nigel Stock and Thomas Delaney. And Stock's made up a lot of places since the start of this race as they make their way down in towards what will be And turn at number 3, side by side they go, coming on through the left-hander, Stock there, and they go all the way around the outside to try and hold the position, but Delaney's still there with him, and Delaney's going to be on the inside now, in towards turn number 4. Stock's going to try and hold it outside to inside, but in the end a bit of understeer carries him off towards the exit curbing, and he has to give up the position for now, but he will try and come back and do it a bit later on. Basil tries to make the way up towards what will be turn at number 1. Well, now we see Stock try and go back on the charge here as he makes his way through, and the answer is yes, he is going to, as he swings the inside here, and well, it's going to be close between them. Who's going to make the move here? Are they going to make it stick? Well, Stock's going to be on that inside. Delaney, meanwhile, looks to get the cut back here as they come over the crest of Paddock Hill Bend and down it. Sparks fly for the undersides of the cars, and in the end, Delaney's going to be back on the inside here as they continue to fight over what is 5th place in the Pram class. Delaney on the inside, Stock on the outside. Brilliant back and forth between them. Great respect being shown, and no change between them as meanwhile, Mark Sykes there runs a bit wide coming at Druids Bend, and he's going to open up the door to Jamie Dory and also Lewis Delman who gets on through, and well, Mark Sykes dropping at 2 places for the price of 1 turn number 2. But as they make the way upwards, with William Kurtler still fighting there with Jamie Dory as Dory goes up the inside of Kurtler to take the position. Now moving up into 15th, having started from the pit lane, having missed the gridding procedure. But as we look from there back towards the front of the field, going on to lap number 4, well, now Kieran Sharp is starting to look for a move here. He's starting to try and interrupt the Doble Sim Racing party at the front of the field, albeit as he comes down off the rise of Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to be on the inside there as Mikey Doble goes a bit wide, the 88 steps wide, and therefore Kieran Sharp goes up the inside. But now it's going to be Isaac Doble will feel a bit of pressure. There's a big town happy slide there from Mikey Doble coming out of turn at number 2, and I think just a little bit rattled right now, but trying to get himself back under control with Adam Delmont closing. And well, this top 4 is starting to come closer and closer together as they head in towards all the turns at 4 and 5. But as they make the way onwards, Andrew Pike versus Lee Horn, these two still close, with Kieran Smart also in pursuit, and we do need to get a replay as to what happened at the race start. We'll do that very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. We did have a big shunt on the open lap between some of our drivers, and we will give you that perspective when we can. But right now it's looking as though Lee Horn all over the back of what is Andrew Pike. Can he go for a move? Not quite, but meanwhile Kieran Sharp is going to go for a move for the lead as it's 2 by 2 as they come into turn number 1, and Mikey Doble going defensive versus Adam Delmont. Meanwhile Isaac Doble just simply keeping Kieran Sharp at bay, and as they head in towards what will be turn at number 2, there's no change between them as Adam Delmont looks around the outside there, going into what will be at turn number 2 and out of it. And well, it's going to be one of the situations right now where Adam Delmont definitely breathing down the neck of his long-time rival as they roar the way out to turn number 3. And well, right now it's anybody's guess who's going to be leading this battle come the run to victory. But in towards turn number 4 they go, and as they do, we take a look back at the race start, ladies and gentlemen, and what exactly happened when it came to that shunt into Druids Bend. Now, this was a replay of the green flag procedure, and as all our drivers went to go racing, well, we do look a little bit further down the order, and particularly to what was Callum Murray, as we did see there a bit of a slight jump start for Garen Garner in number 11, albeit he managed to get stopped in time so as not to trigger what was the laser tag. But as our drivers all made the way away, well, do we get a little better view here? We're going to focus in particular on what was Callum Murray, who found himself right in the epicenter of everything that happened, as did Sam Bradley. Well, in fact, there is Sam Bradley as he made his way up the hill, up the inside while the Irish Esports machines, and well, lost the rear of the car. It goes round, and at that point it goes for a spin. The whole field segues its way around. In the end, Cal Murray getting collected there, and well, I believe it all end up in tears for the 2 drivers, and Ben Autry and Lewis Mason also end up getting caught up in that, as did Ian Manners. That explains exactly what happened there and why we did see some drama early on in what was this race. But as all the drivers make the way back up to speed in live time, well, we've still got plenty more laps to come here. We are on lap number 6 of 17, and well, Matthew Cheverton and what is Jamie Dory side by side there as they come through turn number 4 into 5. Dory up the inside there and makes another place, now up into 12th place as he continues to make his way forward. We have got Andrew Pike into the pit lane. I believe there may have been a bit of an incident for Andrew Pike, and well, in fact, there has been an incident because there was one between himself and Lee Horn, and also Mikey Doble's dropped a long way down the order. Where is Doble in all this? Well, he's dropped all the way down to 13th place. We see him there in the rear of your picture, so I think they've all had to come in together. We'll have to get a replay of what exactly happened there shortly, but it means that Isaac Doble, Kieran Sharp and Adam Delmont right now, and a bit of a pack of 3 at the very front of the field, and then the rest of the field is trying to follow. So we've got a car there taking a very slow approach to rejoin. That's why the Irish Esports machines, I believe that is the number 13 of Nick Clibbins. Also got a car around there. That is the car of Alan McCain. And McCain, who really has been under the radar, well, right now he's definitely emerged onto our radar with a big spin there coming out of turn 3 out of Graham Hill Bend, and that's going to cost him a lot of places. He's making great progress, but looking back to the front of the field, It's Sharp versus Doble again, and this time Kieran Sharp's all the way around the outside as they go too wide through Paddock Hill. Behind them is Adam Delmont as we jump on board with Delmont, who looks to try and get stuck into this battle. And the next gen green drive is going to pick his way out the inside, goes to the dive there, and as he does so, Sharp gives him the space to coexist. As they come out of 2 and down towards 3, they'll be too wide now into Graham Hill Bend, but Sharp's going defensive there through the left-hander. You can't blame him for it, and therefore will hold the position for now, but it will buy Isaac Doble a little bit of breathing time as they come in towards what will be turn number 4, but through the left, into the right, and then a bit more of a right-hand turn, and Adam Delmont's all over the back now of what is number 15. As they head onto the anchors, through the right-hander they go, and well, it's absolutely nose to tail between them as they roar their way around to the end of this lap. Still plenty of laps to be turned here, and indeed we're just making our way now towards the halfway point of this race as they go onto lap number 9. Across that timeline in front of them, that is going to be the car of Lee Horn. Well, here comes Adam Delmont up the inside, looking to make the move for second place. He gets it stopped on the dive, and Sharp in the end doesn't really have a response coming out of Paddock Hill Bend other than to try and look up the inside of Druid. Delmont gives the space there, and therefore it's too wide now as they make the way around, and as quickly as they exchange the place once, they swap it back again as they come down towards what is now the Graham Hill Bend. Through left hand they go, and Adam Delmont this time playing a successful defence there, and it is buying Isaac Doble even more time to move away. The gap to leader now almost 7 tenths, but from them we do look to the Track Scotland pair of Kieran Smart and Stuart Winers as they make the way through at what is turn number 4, and they're pushing each other along here with Benjamin Gregory, the Full Tilt Motorsport 4th place pro driver, running 6th behind them and staying close to keep them honest, albeit keeping in mind of course that his battle will be with them, plus also the pro drivers further up the road, given there is no pro class championship. There's only an overall drivers championship and a prime class championship, but heading onwards, well, right now side by side there is Winers and Smart. The gloves come off between the two teammates, albeit they show each other plenty of room, and Stuart Winers goes all the way around the outside. A lovely run there, albeit now here comes Smart, gets a better exit, and between the two of them goes Ben Gregory. He tries to part the seas, but in the end backs out of it, recognising it was a door that's always going to close, and around goes Winers, taking a little bit too much speed, been a bit too aggressive on the downshift, and right now the number 61 has to recover itself rather rapidly. Behind them, Jamie Dory is continuing to pick his way up through the field, with Mikey Doble following him in quick succession as they come down to turn number 3. Thomas Delaney also there, and Delaney's had an absolutely brilliant race. He's up 12 places, having started in 9th, when what was, I do believe, 21st. He's now up to 9th, and Matthew Sheraton's there with him. Sheraton on the inside of the 390 roars its way through. Too wide, they come into turn number 4, out they go, looking around the outside, but Delaney's still there, absolutely perched himself on the inside of clearways, and now it's going to be a switchback here from Sheraton. Delaney goes deep, he goes wide, almost ends up in what is the grass, coming out to clearways onto Paddock Straight, and as they roar the way down towards turn number 1, or should I say up to it, we can see there in the foreground that Dory pulling Mikey Doble along, but meanwhile Sheraton now up the inside, covering off Nigel Stock, who's found his way past Delaney on the start finish straight, and also Nick Clemens on the back of this, and this is significant as that it's going to be Matthew Sheraton and taking a big spin out of what is turn number 1, but from them, the reason why this is significant as Delaney up the inside of Stock there for 3rd place in the Prime class is because it's 3 drivers right now fighting for 3rd place in the Prime class, all within the space of a couple of laps, and they haven't got too long left in this race now as we are comfortably into the second half of the race distance. More is to come, and Clemens versus Stock here, where it's as close as you can call it, as they go left to right in towards turns 4 and then 5, and right now Clemens on that inside, he's not going to shirk away from battling for this as they make the way over the crest and around, and well, it's brilliant racing between them. Stock in the end takes the outside line, carries the speed. Clemens defends the insider as they make the way onto what will be lap number 12, and right now these two absolutely locking horns, and that is giving Delaney a little bit of time to break away. Into the braking zone they go for Paddock Hill once again then, and well, as they come on down, it's going to be Stock still on that outside. Clemens is there, giving each other space. You would think they've rehearsed this, given how well they're racing together, but no, that's the respect they carry for each other, as Mikey Doble meanwhile makes his way on past what was Jamie Dory there into Druids Bend. Was they coming down, Dory now over the back of Doble, but Stock versus Clemens, where it's Stock defending him to Graham Hill Bend, and he's going to go very tight on that inside line. Clemens looks at the cut back, but cuts it too soon, and ends up seeing what is the rear of the Crest Autosport machine, and therefore has to back off entirely, as he won't be able to get the run otherwise. Looking back to the front of the field, meanwhile, Adam Delmont here in 2nd place now, after what was that huge incident for a number of drivers, and the big question many of you will be asking is, what exactly happened to Mikey Doble, to Lee Horn, and to Andrew Pike? Well, we can give you a quick answer to that, ladies and gentlemen, and here is the replay to explain what happened to those 4 drivers earlier on. And this was on lap number 6. And they made the way up into the braking zone here for Druids Bend. Doble on the outside there, and well, as they made the way on around, losing the rear of the car did Mikey Dozer. He went on around. Lee Horn comes into the scene instant. Oh, goodness me, and the 57 having to go to the inside there, and Doble trying to get himself back up to speed, but in the end, not anticipating all the cars that were coming around, and one innocent mistake to make, but I can imagine the right now frustrating one if you're named Lee Horn and Andrew Pye, as Mikey Doble in the end resetting himself all the way down the order, but Lee Horn in a wounded car, and the same for Andrew Pike. But let's come back to what is your live racing, ladies and gentlemen. We still do have plenty of time on the clock, but we will see things finished over what is a race distance instead in terms of laps. And well, Isaac Doble there having to go defensive now versus Adam Delmont as they come down out of turn number 1. And well, the gloves are now completely off here for the lead battle as they head in towards what will be turn number 2. And right now, Isaac Doble still defending hard as Kieran Sharp on the inside of Adam Delmont. A bit of elbows out there, and Delmont is sent slightly wide as we look back for the rear of your race leader. Right on board on the rear of the number 65 here as it runs out nice and wide. They're allowed to use those track limits. They're not allowed to exploit them too much, but they are allowed to use plenty of the runoff area coming out of turn number 3 through the left into the right of turn number 4. And right now, Isaac Doble will just absolutely holding on to this lead by what is the very tips of his fingers as they come out of the corner, and they've got 3 more laps to go now as they head on towards Paddock Hill Bend once again. Onto lap 15 they'll turn, and well, the gap is 3 tenths here with Adam Delmont only a 3rd tenth back. You can see Delmont looking to the outside, Sharp going defensive. There's the slipstream in full effect as they make the way in towards Paddock Hill. So close right now is the charge from Kieran Sharp, and that is the electrifying slipstream that we were talking about earlier. Delmont looking to the inside, but Sharp covers him off. Onto the brakes they'll go in towards the Druids hairpin, and they're going to be line astern here. And right now, for every move that Sharp is thinking about making on Doble, Adam Delmont's got other ideas and is trying to intervene and make his own progress here, and that's helping Isaac Doble out, but it's also making him wonder where exactly the move's going to be coming from. As you can see, Lee Horn has latched himself onto the back of this group, albeit a lap down. He won't be able to get into the fight specifically, but he's going to try and stay with it, and he's got the proverbial popcorn seat view, as we like to call it. Further back, Mikey Doble versus Jamie Dory. Well, 2 NXTCC multi-time champions right now enjoying slightly different machines, but still rekindling their old rivalry. And right now, 2 wide they come in towards turn number 4. Dory up the inside of Doble there, and well, this is only going to be a setup for what will be Clearways Corner, where Doble will try and get the better exit out, albeit some big gains and big losses between them. But from them, we come back to your lead battle as they make the way on the throw. And well, right now, Isaac Doble still holding on there, albeit a poorer run out Paddock Hill Bend, and this time Kieran Sharp is getting much closer, but as he turns on in, he's going to find that Isaac Doble is just defending as hard as possible. He's slowing the car through the corner to intentionally make it as hard as possible for Sharp to try and get the move done or try and go for a cutback out the corner. So right now, Isaac Doble not only can't outpace the Sim Racing Collective esports machine, so instead of the Doble Sim Racing at number 65, he's now got to try and crawl his way through these corners in order to keep everybody behind him. But in towards the braking zone they go for turn number 5, and it will be for the penultimate time they do so. There's other battles out there, including the ongoing 4th place battle in the Crown Class between Stock and Clibbins, but we're not going to cut away from this lead battle now, ladies and gentlemen, because it makes its way then onto one more lap. The white flag waves. It's lap 17 to 17, and here we go as it's 3 wide down towards turn number 1. Adam Delmont times it, goes up the inside of the pair of them, and meanwhile Kieran Sharp's going to try and go around the outside of Doble. Off the Paddock Hill Bend they go. Adam Delmont takes the lead, but it's only for a brief moment as Isaac Doble's onto the inside into Druids Bend, and as they come onto the brakes, Isaac Doble retakes the place. Delmont goes deep, Sharp's up the inside. There's contact between the turn, but in the end they bounce off each other, and it's going to release Isaac Doble to lead off into the distance here as Adam Delmont still holds on to second place ahead of Kieran Sharp. Goodness me, it all exploded. It was a brief moment, but what a brilliant moment it was, and in the end there was always going to be elbows out, but right now Adam Delmont holding on to second place, but having to work it to limit to get into that position, let alone be in the battle for the lead. And as they make the way through turn number 5, well, right now, as they roar the way through, Delmont is still ahead of Sharp, but for Isaac Doble, he put it on pole position, and that's where he stayed over the race distance, and he will take the first victory of the season. He'll go to Isaac Doble from Doble Sim Racing ahead of Adam Delmont and Kieran Sharp to complete your top 3. We then do have a sizable 7.5 seconds gap before you do have your prime winner in full place of Kieran Smart. Well done to the Track Scotland drive for a superb drive just ahead of Benjamin Gregory. It's a 1-2 in prime for Track Scotland for Stuart Winus is 6th place overall. Jamie Dory in 7th ahead of Mikey Doble just at the finish there, and in the fight for 3rd in the prime class it's Thomas Delaney who just holds off Nigel Stock to the line, and from the 10th place finisher Nigel Stock it's Lewis Delmont best rest in 11th ahead of Sam Smith, with then what will be Gavin Garner, Nick Clemens and Andrew Pike completing your top 15, and well, that will be an absolutely brilliant reversal of what will be your top positions, no doubt about it. We've still got some drivers to finish their race, including Lewis Mason, who is being chased by Mark Sykes to the finish line, but Mason will hold off Sykes there for his 8th place in prime and 19th place overall. Sykes rounds off the top 20, and then we will have Alan McCain at 21st ahead of Ian Manners, and it's a lap down to Lee Horn and Sam Bradley, and Cal Murray 2 laps down, with Wayne Douglas being our sole retiree. But my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, what a race to open up our Season 3 championship. And indeed, what a battle between Isaac Doble, Adam Delman and Kieran Sharp. That was absolutely to the limit. Can we get a replay of that? I think we should get a replay of that. If we don't, I'd be very disappointed. I can tell you that, ladies and gentlemen, if we can't get one. And in fact, yes, we can get a replay for it. And this was how it all unfolded over the course of 2 laps. And it all began then on the run down the start for this straight, and this was the battle for the lead. And you'll see here, Kieran Sharp goes one way, Isaac Doble covers the middle of the road, and then Adam Delman says, well, I've got the double draft here, so let me go on the inside. Delman gets into the inside there, but runs off the Paddock Hill bend a little bit deep. Isaac Doble cuts back, recognising the inside of Druids is where you need to be. Kieran Sharp on the outside there. Well, in the end, it's 3 into 1 corner, albeit Delman goes a little bit deep, and as they make the way through, Isaac Doble takes his time through. Sharp, in the meantime, taps the rear right quarter panel of Delman's car, and that's what separated the trio out in the end. But what a battle between them, and Isaac Doble was the one to run away to victory after all of that. And as well as that, of course, we did have, it was a brilliant battle for third place in the Pro-Am class. Let's talk a little bit about that as well right at the end of the race, and it was the battle between Nigel Stock and Thomas Delaney as they made the way towards the finish. And this was as they made the way onto the final lap of racing. And keeping in mind at the time, well, we did see it was the white flag waving there, and Stock looked around the outside too wide. They went into Paddock Hill bend, and it was practically the entirety of the lap they ran like this. The number 30 driver looking around the outside, couldn't quite find it initially, so Delaney still defending. Up the hill they went, and the iRacing esports car there trying to get involved as well, and I believe that might have been the number 13 of Nick Clibbins, and in the end Clibbins getting it wrong, and that really separated was Stock from Delaney for the remainder of the lap. So it was Clibbins trying to get involved, but being a little bit earnest, a little bit too eager on the throttle, and they made the way all the way to the end. It was Stock trying to come back here as much as he possibly could, and Stock was throwing everything at this to try and bring home at third place in the Pro-Am class. That shows you how much it means to him chasing after Delaney. But as they roared the way through turn number 5, where it was too late, because Delaney just had to sprint his way to the finish line and had enough time in the run to take what was that third place in the Pro-Am class, and more importantly 9th place overall, and both drivers there picking up some overall points to go to their Pro-Am finishing positions. As we return to your live screens, well, let's take a look through the race results then, subject to any stewards' inquiries. And here they are, ladies and gentlemen, after a fantastic opening race of 17 laps in round number 1 of Season 3 of the NXTGEN Racing Legends Cup, as brought to you on iRacing and powered by Doble Motorcycles. Isaac Doble taking victory there for Doble Sim Racing by 1 second over NXTGEN Green's Adam Delman. Kieran Sharp wrapping up the top 3 of all pros on the overall podium for the Sim Racing Collective Esports, and then it was a further 7.5 seconds to your Pro-Am winner, Kieran Smart there for Track Scotland, the number 39 driver, really in an element of his own. 1 step ahead of the likes of Benjamin Gregory. The full Tilby Motorsport finished 5th, and also Stuart Winus, his teammate, who was the runner-up in the Pro-Am class, and indeed a 1-2 for Track Scotland in Prime, and Stuart Winus taking 6th. Jamie Dory, 7th there for NXTGEN Racing, ahead of Doble Sim Racing's Mikey Doble, the turbo exchange, and it blows all the way through the race distance. Fantastic to see. Thomas Delaney round off the Pro-Am podium there, the privateer ahead of Nigel Stock, with the Crest Autosport driver taking out that 10th place finish there, albeit be gutted to miss out by only a 10th. There was Lewis Delman in 11th, ahead of Sam Smith in 12th, and I do believe that does mean that Sam Smith there picking up 4th place in the Pro-Am class, and he won't be too unhappy of that. If anything, I think he'll be quite happy with that performance, given his first race of the season. Cameron Garner was 13th for NXTGEN Racing, ahead of iRacing Esports' Nick Clibbins, and then we did see Andrew Pike 15th there for the Sim Racing Collective Esports, and that 15th place will mean he's on pole position for race number 2 of the day. Ben Altrier was 16th for Full Tilby Motorsport, ahead of the Aztec Racing trio of William Kurtler, Matthew Sheraton and Lewis Mason, and Mark Sykes completing a top 20 there for NXTGEN Racing. Outside the top 20, let's not forget about them. Alan McCain was 21st for iRacing Esports, ahead of Ian Manners, and then it was a lap down for both Lee Horn and Sam Bradley, 2 laps down for Callum Murray, and last but not least, for an early retirement on the open lap, Wayne Douglas there for Douglas Motorsports. So 26 starters, 25 finishers, and we did see 22 of those on the lead lap. Well, that's just race number 1 of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We've still got 2 more races to come. Race number 2 is just around the corner, and I suspect we'll be heading to the grid for that one at just before 9 o'clock this evening. We're going to take a brief breather, but we will be back for the race in approximately 7 to 8 minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. You won't miss it, as we do leave you with some words from our title sponsor for this season, and of course, that is Doble Motorcycles.
Speaking of Mikey Doble Racing, if you'd like to support Mikey as he pushes it to the limit out on track, you can do so by following the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page as seen on screen. Additionally, if you want to represent the 88 Army at a BTCC weekend, Mikey Doble Racing has some fantastic merchandise available just for you, as may be found either via the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page or alternatively in the Doble Motorcycles store at dobledirect.co.uk. Don't miss out on being a part of the 88 Army today.
And as quickly as we stop the racing, we're back to plenty more of it, ladies and gentlemen, because now we're back for race number 2 of round number 1 of season 3 of the NXTGEN Racing Legends Cup, as brought to you from the Brands Hatch Indy circuit in the lovely Garden of Kent in the United Kingdom. Powered, of course, by Doble Motorcycles, brought to you on the Premier Sim Racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing. Well, as Jacko Taylor says in the YouTube chat, this looks mega fun, and indeed, it was absolutely fantastic fun in what was our first race of the day. 17 laps unfolded very quickly in front of our very eyes, and as it did so, we got to see some brilliant performances from some drivers, including Lewis Delmont trying to carve his way through the field, but also perhaps a bit more notably Nigel Stock, who fought his way all the way through up the order in order to finish in the top 5 of the Prime class, but just missed out on what could have been potentially a third place in the Prime class in his maiden podium of the season. But still plenty more to come, no doubt about it, and he, much like many, will be absolutely eager to go racing once again, and particularly he'll look to resume his rival with Thomas Delaney, and Delaney holding on to that podium right at the close. As he makes his way on around and down there in number 30, well, we also got to see what was a bit of exchange of elbows between Jamie Dory and Mikey Doble, after we did have, it was the number 88 driver of Doble get it wrong coming out of Druids Bend midway through the race, caused a bit of an incident with himself, Lee Horn, and also what was, I do believe, unless I'm mistaken, Andrew Pike, but in the end they were able to settle the differences, and well, Lee Horn now back out on circuit, despite having the damage car, see him finish a lap down in race number 1. We're going to start from the back of the grid for race number 2, and he'll have to try and carve his way through. and well, you can count on the fact you'll see Lee Horn make his way through very quickly. But at the front of the field, it was a fantastic performance of Isaac Doble to hold on and take what was the first win of the season overall and in the pro class of the 65, with what was the pressure of both Kieran Sharp and also none other than Adam Delmont right behind him, and Delmont in the end being as daring as he possibly could to try and take the lead from both drivers on the final lap. It didn't quite work out, and the 37 driver will be gutted not to have taken victory in the opening race of the season, but he also now know that starting from 14th place, he's going to have plenty more to do over the distance that awaits him with another 17 laps of racing ahead. Of course, the race times that we did show you earlier on were just indicative, and we are looking to run a bit ahead of schedule here today, ladies and gents, but it's looking as though, and well, it's always good if we can run a little bit ahead of schedule, because if we do end up seeing safety cars or red flags, we do build in more time in order to make sure we're able to get the full race distance in all 3 races. But as we now do have the best part of 2 minutes or so to go before we do make our way into our second race of the day, well, can we get a quick word from any one of our drivers? I think that's going to be the big question, and the answer is, I think yes, we can. We are going to try and get a quick interview one of our drivers out there, and I think we might try to get a word with Adam Delmont if we can. Is he available for comment or word? I believe he is, and let's get a bit of an on-board word here from Adam Delmont as he makes his way around and give us a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen, and we will get a patch through to the car. And as he makes his way on through there, we are just trying to get that patch through to come on in. It will come any moment now. We are just having some slight technical issues that trying to get through to the car at the moment. It does happen every so often, this, whereby we are just trying to get him into what will be the discussion group. But in fact, I think we now can. Adam, can you hear us?
Yeah. Hi, Paul.
A quick word for yourself, Adam. A brilliant race number 1, albeit just missing out on victory right at the close there, but you went for it.
Yeah, you should know me by now, mate. If it's there, I'll go for it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it was going. I think you were trying to go for move of the season in the opening race, up the inside of the pair of them, and then tried to hold it all the way to Druids Bend. But it looked like in the end yourself and what was Mr. Sharp having a little bit of a tussle.
Yeah, I tried to. I just couldn't get over in time to cover Isaac. To try and hold it. If I'd have managed to cover Isaac, I think I'd have been all right. And you know, it were only a little tyre glance. There wasn't much in it at all. It just bounced my car a bit funny, and you know, still managed to keep second, but it ruined the potential run to the line. But you know, it happens.
Oh, it does, but still plenty more to look forward to, particularly starting 14th for race number 2. We'll leave you to it. Good luck in the second race of the day.
Cheers, Paul. Thank you, mate.
So here now from Adam Delmont, ladies and gentlemen, and we're a little bit gutted that you missed out on what could have been a potential victory in the first race of the season and trying to go all into that brilliant move, but still great to hear from him there, and talking about the little touch and tussle between himself and Kieran Sharp. Nothing major out of it, just a tap, and that does happen, of course, in these Legends machines. They can run close, they can tap each other, but will Adam Delmont tap into his inner skill in order to be able to take victory in race number 2, or will Isaac Doble be able to make it 2 and 2 on the bounce, or we see a whole new name at the front of the field? There's only one way to find out, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to make our way to the grid for our second race of the day. So as the drivers make their way onto the grid, this is how they'll line up for race number 2 of round number 1 of the championship here in season 3 of the NXTGEN Racing Legends Cup at Brands Hatch, Indy. Andrew Pike lines up on the top 15 inverted pole position. The Sim Racing Collective esports driver will know he's got a great opportunity here to lead the field away, but Nick Clemens, who lines up alongside him, is your prime pole sitter for iRacing esports, and the second place number 13 machine will also be looking to try and score a win in class, if not overall. Behind them, it will be in the second round of the grid, Gavin Goddard for NXTGEN Racing in the number 11, who did have a full start, albeit no penalty acquired, and he won't want to have another full start again, as he'll be in the company for NXTGEN Racing. Otherwise, iRacing Esports is Sam Smith, and well, Smith will be very eager to try and follow Clibbins, his teammate and the leader ahead of him, into turn 1 and up the field. Now it'll be Lewis Delmont who starts 5th for NXTGEN Green, ahead of Crest Autosports' Nigel Stock. And how great a performance it was from Nigel Stock in the first race of the day. Could we see him chase down that podium, if not a victory, in the Prime class in the second race of the day? I'd put money on it, no doubt about it. Thomas Delaney lines up just behind him in the 555 machine. Keep an eye out for him. Ahead of Mikey Doble for Doble Sim Racing. And you have Jamie Dory for NXTGEN Racing and Track Scotland, Stuart Wallace, who complete your top 10. From the Scotsman, we have behind them a separating Englishman of Benjamin Gregory for Full Tilt Motorsport, and then it's the further Scotsman for what is it, Track Scotland there for Kieran Smart, who completed that run to prime victory in race number 1, but now he's got to go for a bit further back down the order, but I wouldn't be surprised if he looks to get a good start and make his way up as quickly as he possibly can. Behind him on the 7th row of the grid, it's going to be Kieran Sharp for the Sim Racing Collective Esports and Adam Delmont for NXTGEN Green. They're going to be absolutely running tooth and nail together. And behind them, race number 1 winner Isaac Doble started 15th. Well, the Doble Sim Racing driver knows if he wants to get the big points today, he's now got to work even harder for it. He's got to not only hold on to positions, but he's also got to claim them off his rivals. 16th is going to be Ben Altria for Full Tilt Motorsport, just missing out on that top 15 inversion, but the 504 drive's not going to let him frustrate him. And the same can be said for William Kurt there for Aztec Racing and his teammate Matthew Cheverton. They had some great racing between them over the course of race 1. Long may it continue to race number 2. Lewis Mason completes the Aztec Racing trio there in 19th ahead of Mark Sykes for NXTGEN Racing, who completes the top 20. And outside the top 20, started 21st, it'll be Alan McCain for iRacing Esports ahead of Ian Manners, the privateer. And then we will have Lee Horn at 23rd for NXTGEN Racing ahead of Sam Bradley, the privateer. Both of them having a difficult first race under circumspect circumstances. And then we will see Cal Murray lining up last of our runners, 25th on this grid for NXTGEN Green, with Wayne Douglas not making it to the grid, unfortunately, due to a technical issue with the car after the shunt he had in race number 1. So 25 starters this time, ladies and gents, but they're all set and ready to go. And well, we are just waiting for that light sequence to gradually get underway. Indeed, our race director making sure that things proceed in a smooth and orderly order. They've just been given the 30-second announcement, as in at 3-0, so we've got a bit of time. But for Andrew Pike, it is a short run to turn number 1, but it's an uphill run as well, and starting on pole position here, you do get the inside line, but you've also got to go up a gradient very quickly. For Nick Clemens, he's on that outside line, he's turning the steering wheel left to right, trying to get a little bit of static tyre temperature, well, that's not going to help too much, but that's how eager he is to go racing. He's absolutely itching, we're itching for it as well, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Clemens on the right, the prime pole sitter, the pro pole sitter of Andrew Pike on the left, and as our drivers wait there, well, the lights are about to go on for the second time today, and who is going to be leading out of turn number 1? Well, place your bets, because it's time to find out, ladies and gentlemen, as it's going to be 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for our second race of the day as Andrew Pike gets an absolutely brilliant start, but Nick Clemens gets the better launch as they make the way through. Look at Gavin Gardner as well, was making it 3 wide into turn 1 as they come down the hill there with all the field queues up behind them, but the top 3 get away quite nicely. Meanwhile, Isaac Doble there already up a number of places, and Lewis Delmont also making some great progress as they come on through the opening corner. Andrew Pike still hold on, Sam Smith there side by side. Adam Delmont meanwhile has been turned a little bit further behind, we do believe, but he's rejoining the pack now as they make the way through, so therefore overdrive safely on through Druids Bend or thereabouts. As further back, Kieran Smart battling by side there with Ben Altria. Altria making up some progress there as it's a 3 wide in the run now in towards what will be turn number 4. Stuart Wine is there covering off what is Kieran Sharp, and also trying to get on the inside of Nigel Stock. A little bit of a tank snapper there. We're in towards turn number 5, and therefore Winus is going to go deep at 5 as the rear back together as we've had William Kirtler go around there on the exit of 4. We'll try and get a replay of that when we can, but for the most part, Orva drives on through safely for the first lap of this second race of the day, and it's Pike who leads onto lap number 2. Nick Clemens is your leading pro just behind him. Then it's the pro of Gardner, pro of Delbert, followed by Doble, and that's Mikey Doe ahead of Jamie Dory as Lewis Delbert goes very wide there, Paddock Hill Bend. So we're going to stop the run down through the field as right now it's getting very touchy and technical here as they come into the braking zone, and well as they do Nick Clemens right now on the outside of Druids Bend. That's going to open that door to Gavin Gardner, but Gardner now knows he's got to go around the outside here through turn number 3. It's not going to be that easy to do so as they will make the way around. Will be a bit of a switchback move there from Wes Gardner, and once again getting back ahead of Clemens, and Clemens right now throwing everything at this, but Gavin Gardner really showed a great nuance on Legends machine, just simply played it tactically, or could we say tactical, and as cool as a cucumber, he moves up into second place there. Now Mikey Doble gets up the inside of Nick Clemens, and Clemens, once he's out of the ribbon, very quickly falls out of order as Lewis Delbert's just got around there on where's the run into Clearway's corner, so he's dropped all the way down to 19th place, so he's had a bit of a nightmare second lap, but as the field makes his way up towards turn number 1 onto lap number 3, Mikey Doble up into third. He's brought Jamie Dory with him as Nick Clemens now has been relegated to 5th, and well behind him Sam Smith is starting to break away from the Delaney Isaac Doble battle, and therefore he's getting closer and closer towards his teammate for iRacing Esports, and it's trying to be a 1-2 here in the prime class of the pair, but as they come out of what is at Druids Bend, coming through it right now, it's Ben Altria and Stuart Winus. These two still side by side as they come down in towards turn number 3, and as they run nose to tail here, brilliant battling between them, and nothing between them at the moment, albeit out the left hand and up towards what will be turn number 4 they go, and from then Kieran Sharp at the inside of Delaney there into what is we run through Clearways, albeit via McLaren first. And coming on through here was quickly as they hold positions, they lose them and gain them. And indeed, right now, it's anybody's guess who's going to be in a certain position come the end of the next lap. But roaring the way on through, the field definitely starts to settle down now a little bit as they head on to what will be lap number 4, albeit it's not going to settle down at the front of the field. That's Mikey Doble at the inside of Gavin Gardner. And I think Gardner being a little bit compliant there because he wants to go for the switchback move, does the number 11. And Mikey Doble not seeing it coming initially, but now we'll definitely see it come as they make their way to Druids Bend. This is going to buy Andrew Pike a lot of time as they come through at the right-hander, and down they go. Jamie Dory right on the back of this battle now, and he looks to try and pick the right horse to hedge his bets behind, and it's going to be Doble who goes defensive through turn number 3, and Gardner tucks into the toe. Jamie Dory as well, just watches on behind here. 7 tenths between them and Sam Smith, but you can see that Dory trying to look around the outside of Gardner, and well, these two have been absolutely established teammates, but right now the next gen racing pair absolutely pushing each other to a limit as they make their way through the right-hander and turn number 5, and up they'll go out towards the start finish straight, but no change at the moment as Dory looking left and looking right, but can't find his way through into third, albeit he's going to get the double draft here. This is going to be a huge amount of speed. It was Sonny Gain as Gardner goes to the inside there, but lets the place go, and I think deciding to give Dory an opportunity to try and go on the attack. I think Gardner trying to work with his teammate here and not wanting to hold him up, so Gardner being the team player as they make their way up towards Druids, but from them, more battling here. This is Thomas Delaney versus Adam Delmont in towards Paddock Hill, and it's going to be Adam Delmont on the inside there, and Delaney will let that go for what is at 20th, and that's going to be Delmont up in position. Delaney goes wide. Ian Manners almost into the barrier there, ends up going into the gravel. Does he get it rotated? Yes, he does. He's able to get going again. So Ian Manners had a bit of a nightmare moment going through Paddock Hill Bend, but finally gets it back on its journey and back onto the tarmac, albeit bringing what is some of that gravel onto the circuit. And well, some drivers I don't think will be too happy about that, albeit Ian Manners has got to rejoin at some point, and well, as he does so, we rejoin all the racing action here for 10th place. Ben Altria holding off what is Lee Horn at the moment, up the inside in towards turn number 5 is where he started the move, and right now he's preventing Lee Horn from trying to come back at him as they come across that timing line here, and all fighting over was that 10th place spot. Horn on the outside on the right of your picture, and into the braking zone they go as Altria defence on the inside. Stuart White is Kieran Smart and Sam Bradley, where's a pack of prams all queuing up behind these two pros. Horn there makes his way to the inside, and through the right hander they go in towards turn number 2. Horn up the inside, so is Whiteis. Altria out of position, out of line, and he gets a slight tap there from Whiteis, so that's going to put him even further wide, and it brings all the prime pack through. It's going to be 3 wide there in towards Graham Hill Bend, around the outside, tries to go to 69 of Sam Bradley, and well, right now it's looking all nice there for the NXTGEN Racing Green drivers. He makes his way in towards the left into right here of McLaren's, and that's going to be Altria up the inside as Lewis Mason tries to be absolutely daring around the outside, but carries too much speed and ends up onto the grass and gravel, and therefore Lewis Mason losing 2 places. Callum Murray makes his way up into position, and right now Callum Murray tried to help out what is Sam Bradley in breaking away from Altria and going chasing after Kieran Smart. But as they come across that timing line, we can see now it's Whiteis, Horn and Smart all together, albeit Smart playing a bit more of a rearward picture as Whiteis trying to look around the outside of Horn, and his teammate Smart just watching up from behind and acts as a bit of a rear guard here, as they all fight over what is 10th place overall and also 3rd place in the Pram class, albeit Horn is a pro driver. So right now it's just the 2 Track Scotland Prams who are trying to move forward, as it's going to be a bit of a slip there coming out of Druids Bend, a bit of a tank slapper for what is Whiteis, and therefore losing an opportunity to try and make the move around the outside of Horn, and Smart will now group up behind him once again, but Sam Bradley is quite close and looking to get involved, but through the left and into the right they go as they make their way around in this 7th lap, and as they do, well, this battle absolutely on tenterhooks as from them we look back to the leaders here, and Andrew Pike still leading after what's been at 7 laps of racing. On to lap number 8 he goes. Mikey Doble cuts one way, then the other, tries to throw the dummy, but Pike knows it's coming and decides, okay, I'm just going to put the car on the inside. As he comes down through turn 1 and up towards 2, well, Doble gets the better run here up the hill, and Dory's going to look the other side, so they're going to go 3 wide under braking here, and Doble's going to go all in on the brakes, but Pike meanwhile just holds that middle line, a very comfortable line there, puts him on the inside for what will be Graham Hill Bend, which is exactly where he wants to be. And as we look back for the rear of the lead machine, well, right now the 57 for the Sim Racing Collective Esports is absolutely proven to be as wide as humanly possible, and well, as he makes his way in towards what is at turn number 4. Oh, goodness me, that's Jamie Dory going very sideways. Does he collect it in time? And the answer is no, he doesn't, as the car ejects itself out into the grass. I thought he was going to be able to snap it back the other way. That's going to cost him, and so does Pike. Pike's off the road. Now, was there contact there between himself and Mikey Doble to send him out wide, because Pike suddenly drops down to 9th place, or did he make a mistake of his own volition? Well, we will get a replay of that very quickly, but before we do, Isaac Doble battling with Kieran Sharp. So from one Sim Racing Collective driver who's fallen, another is trying to rise, and he's looking around the outside there at Paddock Hill Bend. Isaac Doble's going to come through there for 3rd place, as Sam Smith, the leading pro, drives away over the back of this, and he's trying to get involved as well to chase down an overall podium. But he's got to be aware of the fact he's only got his teammate in the Prime class for company right now, and that's Nick Clemens immediately behind, and they have got a sizable, what is 6 seconds between themselves and third place Prime driver Stuart Whitus, but they won't want to let him get any closer anytime soon. But meanwhile, what exactly happened there? Well, firstly, let's take a look back at the Jamie Dory moment here as he made his way into the corner, and this, where he's going to try and do the absolute best car control here, but just being behind was Mikey Doe a bit too close, and the car letting go was the worst possible moment. Andrew Pike, meanwhile, well, I believe that was a mistake under braking for the 57 driver. Can we get on board of what happened to Andrew Pike? The answer is yes, we can, and this was it for Andrew Pike. Let's listen in. And fighting with the steering wheel, and in the end, just coming down a bit too aggressively into the corner, and I believe Mikey Doe will, in the end, just being fired off back to be able to take evasive action there, and Andrew Pike making a mistake, quite an easy one to make, and that's why it all went wrong there for what was Andrew Pike, and Mikey Doe is now your race leader. But as the drivers make the one through it in towards what will be this 10th lap of racing, well, now it's a Doble 1-2 with Mikey ahead of brother Isaac, with Gavin Gardner right in the back of the then Kieran Sharp. So with two of our big names falling down the order, it has definitely served to shuffle up this running order. Keeping in mind, of course, after this race, we're going to fully invert the grid for all the finishers, and we will be seeing that full reverse grid starting to play a huge part of this. They're all going to have to come through from the back of the field, albeit that's why it's a 25-minute race, it's the best part of 29 laps rather than the 17, and as they roll the way onwards with Isaac Doe right now on the inside of Mikey, down towards turn 1 they go. Gavin Gardner put himself in the middle of the road, it's going to be free wide, it's Paddock Hill Bend, and then it wasn't as Gardner backs out there, but definitely teasing that opportunity time and time again, and Isaac Doe now leads this race with what is 7 laps remaining, including this one. But right now, I think he's focused on one thing, and that is taking one lap at a time. As further on back, we do have Andrew Pike over the back of Jamie Dory, and even further behind them, it's the battle between Sam Bradley and Stuart Whitus for third place in the Prime class here, as that is Bradley getting very close to the back of Whitus, making his way through the corner, albeit can't quite find his way through into Druids, but now going down to Graham Hill Bend. They're going to go too wide here, albeit give each other just enough space to breathe, let alone the race, and coming out that left-hander, Whitus still holding on there, but Sam Bradley absolutely trying to push as hard as he possibly can as we ride on board what is the front grille of the number 69 machine, in towards the right-hander return at number 5 he goes, and well, these cars running very nice and low to the tarmac there. You can see that tarmac in full splendour, and we're coming out of the corner in towards the start finish straight, with the gap right now being the best part of 3 attempts, getting a little bit closer, and even more so as they make the way onwards towards another lap. But the problem is, how close can he get, and then can he look for a move? And the answer is no, he can't, Sam Bradley. What he can do is try to get a better run through the right-hander, but it looks like Whitus has got that covered as they bounce their way out of turn number 1. The sparks fly. Bradley thinks about it into Druids, but in the end decides just to tuck in behind and not go for the move there. 9, there's no forthcoming opportunities. They practically slide the way out of each and every corner. Such is the challenge they've got with regards to the grip levels available to them. These cars have been so lightweight, of course, that if you're a little bit too eager on the throttle, they'll suddenly snap round on you. But as we look from was that Prime battle up towards third place in the Prime class, we've got Thomas Delaney and Nigel Stott fighting here. We're in 7th place in the Prime class, albeit Lewis Mason in front of it's really the fight for 6th in said class, and then Matthew Sheraton just trying to help his Aztec Racing teammate out, as that's going to be Mason. Lose in the rear there, coming through turn number 4. It claimed Jamie Dory earlier on, and that claims Lewis Mason there. I don't think he was tapped to go around. I think it's the way he dropped off of the turn 4 curb, but either way, Lewis Mason now falls down to 21st, and as he does so, well, right now has to get his head back in the game. Further back, Ian Manners, who had that excursion into the gravel trap much earlier on at Paddock Hill Bend. Well, he's going to look up the inside there, and Mark Sykes, or what will be 11th place in the Prime class. They're too wide coming out the final corner, so even right to the back of the field, they're enjoying a great little ding-dong scrap as they make the way through, and Sykes right now giving all the space there, I think trying to cut back in and pick up the toe to go into Paddock Hill, but you can see Manners there taking his time to get over to the racing line, knowing what Sykes is trying to do, and Manners will take the place there and moves up into 11th in Prime at 23rd overall. But from the very back of the field, let's come back to the very front of the field as they go on to what will be lap number 14. It's still Isaac Doble who leads, but he's got Kieran Sharp for company now as they head up towards the timing line. And Sharp is going to try and look around the outside here. Both drivers coming through and, well, pretty much battling where they finished in what was race number 1. They're battling for it once again. As they come down through turn 1, it's going to be Sharp around the outside, but Doble's on the inside line. He absolutely loves perching himself to the inside up towards Druids Bend. He knows how to get the run there. And as they come through 2 by 2, it's going to be a little bit of a brush on the paintwork, albeit no change between them at the moment, as that's going to put Sharp slightly wide. Mikey Doble, meanwhile, not able to get involved. So Isaac Doble able to hold on here in number 65, really getting his elbows out now is the youngster as they make the way up towards turn number 4, and as they roar the way through, it's going to be line astern here between what will be the top 6, all the way from Isaac Doble to Nick Clemens, and the top 2 in the Prime class watching this battle from behind. And iRacing Esports right now, I suspect, just holding position and wanting to get to the end of the race and pick up a great result for the team, but also for their drivers, as much as they would like to take some more places off of the drivers in front. I think they're wary of the risks that are involved with that now as we go on to lap number 15. But across that timeline they go, and where it's going to be a fan out here. Sharp now looks to the outside once again. Mikey Doble, meanwhile, also looking to the middle of the road, but notice that Sharp this time not fully committed to the run around the outside, tries to cut it back, but oversteps his mark. That's going to put Mikey Doble on the inside here under braking into Druids. It's going to give some space, and as they come through the right-hander, Will Sharp has to give the space to number 88, but they don't make contact. Instead, they come down to Grove Hill Bend, and now Sharp has to go defensive on the inside into left-hander, and well, they are going to stay as they were. And this buys Isaac Doble just a little bit of breathing room as they come in towards turn number 4, and they stay like that as they make the way to the final 2 quarters of this lap. Further back, Lee Horn chasing over the back of Ben Tria right now, and the full Tilby Motorsport car just in front of the 504, trying to keep the 36ers bay as they come left into right here. And it's a big wobble there from Horn as he comes through turn number 4. That left into right direction change just unsettling him slightly. I mean, he can't get close enough to really think about a move this time, as he also has a big slide there coming out of turn number 5. But Roy in the way and out. Well, from then we look back to the front of the field in good time as well, because this time Sharp goes all in on the outside there of Paddock Hill Bend, and he's still too wide there coming up the right. You can see Mikey Doble practically tucking in behind Isaac Doble, thinking about the inside line to Druids, but realises his brother's coming it off, and as they come on down, well, Isaac Doble now, he's still got Sharp there. Sharp this time is able to get alongside in towards Graham Hill Bend. It's going to be a move. If he can make it happen, it'll be magical, but Doble in the end is just able to keep Kieran Sharp at bay. Now here comes Mikey Doble, here comes Gavin Gardner as well. They're all queuing up very quickly as they try to get involved in this, but in the end, nothing changes. They stay absolutely nose to tail as we ride on board with your 4th place man, Gavin Gardner, who right now is just watching this, and I think thinking to himself, if all 3 of them have a bit of a coming together, I've just got to be ready to take the places off of them as we go to the final lap of racing, ladies and gentlemen. And well, as they do, you'll ride on board with your 4th place man as the white flag waves, and well, Isaac Doble goes defensive to the inside. Mikey Doble follows him. Kieran Sharp looks all the way around the outside, and well, is he going to be able to do it? He's going to try, and here they go up the hill. This is where it's going to get very, very fruity as Gardner goes a little bit wide into the braking zone. They go, and as they do, it's going to be 2 by 2 by 2 as Isaac Doble brings the pack on around, and Mikey Doble battles side with Sharp. Clemens, meanwhile, is now the outside of Gardner in towards turn number 3, but that's going to be hard for Wes Clemens to do. We've seen it so difficult on that outside line in the past, and in the end, Mikey Doble does make the outside line work, and Kieran Sharp moves back into 2nd in wins the overall classification and the pros. In towards the final quarters they go then, and it'll be a drag race to the line, and Isaac Doble right now holding on for dear life here as they make the one around with Mikey Doble between himself and Kieran Sharp. Well, it's looking to be going one way. It's looking to be going the way to back-to-back victories here for Isaac Doble as the checker flag waves, and the Doble Sim Racing 65 makes it another victory. Mikey Doble holds on to 2nd, Kieran Sharp 3rd, Nick Clemens takes prime victory in the iRacing Esports number 13. In 4th, Gavin Gardner 5th, Sam Smith runner-up in prime 6th, 1-2 for iRacing Esports there. Jamie Dory 7th ahead of Andrew Pike, Benjamin Gregory and Ben Tria. Lee Horn is best to rest in 11th. Sam Bradley will take the 3rd place spot in the prime class 12. Congratulations to him. Matthew Shelton was 13th ahead of Nigel Stock in 14th. 4th place in prime once again, making a habit of these 4th place finishes in the class, and was the rest of the field comes on through. We've still got some more fighting to go, including Ian Manners versus Mark Sykes here, and well, earlier we saw Ian Manners breeze his way past, but Will Sykes now breeze his way ahead by a nose bumper, and when Ian Manners just holds on there for the 23rd spot ahead of Mark Sykes, and Alan McCain will be your last finisher, and in return he will become your pole sitter for race number 3. My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we thought race number 1 was intense. Well, race number 2 said hold up a second, let's raise the intensity to a maximum, and Isaac Doble there hold on for back-to-back victories, has started from 15th on the grid and carving his way through. Mikey Doble coming through with him, and Kieran Sharp will be gutted to have missed out on what was the win, but still happy at that 3rd place finish as Nick Clemens and Sam Smith making it a 1-2 for iRacing Esports. They'll be absolutely ecstatic about that. And you see the 57 there of what is, I believe, Andrew Pike had a bit of celebration down in the pit lane. The number of drives doing so. There's a lot of smoke actually kicking up there. And well, as they do, let's take you through those race results subject to any Stewards inquiries. And after an absolutely brilliant race number 2 of the day for round number 1 of season 3 of the NXTGEN Racing Legends Cup here on iRacing, powered by Doble Motorcycles, Isaac Doble taking victory there for Doble Sim Racing by what was 1.7 tenths over his teammate Mikey Doble. From there, 1-2, Kieran Sharp was 3rd there in the Sim Racing Collective Esports 23, and well, then it was a further 3 tenths to your prime winner of Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports, who managed to muscle his way past Gavin Gardner to complete what was that 4th place run. Garner, meanwhile, in a smart and sensible 5th place finish, the NXTGEN Racing driver, I think, still getting himself fully acquainted with the Legends machine, but showing great promise in the number 11, ahead of runner-up in the Pro-Am class, 6th place on the overall classification, Sam Smith there for iRacing Esports. Jamie Dory was 7th for NXTGEN Racing, battling hard to recover his way through the field, alongside Andrew Piker, also to recover for the Sim Racing Collective Esports. Both drivers in the end having a great little scrap between them all the way to the end for 7th place, but Dory came out on top. And it was 9th place for Benjamin Gregory for Full Tilt B Motorsport, ahead of his teammate Ben Altria, who ran off the top 10. Lee Horn was 11th for NXTGEN Racing, best of the rest. Had a Sam Bradley, who completed your Pro-Am podium there, the privateer. A solid drive from him in the number 69. Head of Matthew Cheverton, who finished 13th for Aztec Racing. And it was Nigel Stock for Crest Autosport, ahead of Kieran Smart to complete your top 15 overall and your overall point finishers. And the Track Scotland driver in 15th, well, he was followed up by William Kurtler for Aztec Racing, and then his Track Scotland teammate Stuart Winess. 18th went the way of Thomas Delaney, ahead of the Delmont pair of Lewis Delmont and Adam Delmont. And behind the NXTGEN Green Machines, outside the top 20, where we did have the finishers of Callum Murray ahead of Lewis Mason, with Ian Manners just getting back ahead of Mark Sykes at the close, and then it was Alan McCain at 25th out of 25th starters, all in the lead lap, and with that he will be rewarded with pole position for our final race of the day. Well, goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, what a race number 2. And the great thing is, we've still got one more race to come, and it will of course be a 29-lap feature finale here for its round 1 of the championship, and we'll be back in approximately 7 to 8 minutes time to bring you all the racing action from our final race of the day. Don't go anywhere. We will see you shortly after these words, of course, from our title sponsor, Doble Motorcycles.
Speaking of Mikey Doble Racing, if you'd like to support Mikey as he pushes it to the limit out on track, you can do so by following the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page as seen on screen. Additionally, if you want to represent the 88 Army at a BTCC weekend, Mikey Doble Racing has some fantastic merchandise available just for you, as may be found either via the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page or alternatively in the Doble Motorcycles store at dobledirect.co.uk. Don't miss out on being a part of the 88 Army today.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back then for our final racer day. Race 3 of 3 for round number 1 of season 3 of the NXTGEN Racing Legends Cup, as brought to you on iRacing and powered by Doble Motorcycles. And what a pair of races we have had so far. 2 17-lap sprints, which I'll be honest are making me completely mince my words, and I'm running out of air here in the commentary booth because the racing is so good. And now we've got a feature race coming up. The best part of 25 minutes of racing, over 29 laps, I do believe. And, well, we can expect an absolutely brilliant race to wrap up the day. And, well, this man at the front of the field, he has been leading the way in 2 of the 3 races, albeit in race number 1, I was putting on pole, he was unstoppable. Isaac Doble led the way. In race number 2, he came through from 15th to take victory with Mikey Doble right behind him to make it a double sim racing at 1-2. But what's going to happen in race number 3? He's got to come all the way from the back of the grid, which will be the best part of 25 cars, I do believe, on the grid. And, well, that's going to be an effort in itself. But that's why I have an extra 10 minutes there to give every driver an opportunity. Those starting at the front to pull away and those at the back with the pace to try and make the way up the order as quickly as humanly possible. But as everyone gets set for one more race, well, can we get a word or two with one of our drivers? I think is the big question. And I think we might be able to. Who can we potentially get a word with here to hear their perspective on what's been some racing? Well, you know what? I think we're going to be getting a word from one of our drivers a little bit further down the order if we can, compared to those in race number 2. We are going to see if we can perhaps get a word with what is Ian Manners, albeit a bit of difficult race number 2, but also to get his perspective and also to see how cheery he is. He always normally is a bit of a cheery individual. And, well, can we get a word with him or perhaps with other drivers out there? We will see. As in fact, Ben Altria is parked up in the pit lane. Can we get a word with him whilst he's sat there stationary? Let's see if we can. Let's jump on board the car there and see if we can get a patch through to Ben Altria as he does wait to go racing one more time. And we'll give us a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen, and we will try and get a word with him. And as we get a patch through to the car, Ben, you got time for a quick word?
Yeah, sure, mate.
Ben, on the Legends grid, a legend yourself in your own right with regards to your antics in NXTCC. How's it been so far for you getting acclimatised to a much lighter but just as fast car?
These can be quite the handful if you get them wrong just a little bit. It's a steep learning curve getting back into these after a very long time. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Oh,
indeed. I can hear it in your voice. I mean, race number 1, a 16th place finish, but we saw you fighting with what's the likes of Andrew Pike and a number of primes around you, including William Kurtler. And race number 2, well, the results, in a way, are coming a little bit further forward for you. A 10th place just behind your teammate. What can we expect in race number 3?
Well, hopefully more moving forwards. I had a decent qualifying. I got a relatively good start in race 1, and then just made a mistake all on my own on the exit of Druids, I think it is, and just had to claw my way back from there. I think I did relatively well. I was down at like 20 something, I think, midway through race 1, and then race 2 was great. A lot of fun working with Lee to try and catch up a bit there towards the end, and then the two of us had a little fight on the last lap, I think, and that was about it, really.
Well, it's a fantastic scrap, no doubt about it, and we look forward to plenty more from you in our final race today. But with that, and less than a minute to go, we'll leave you to it, Ben. Good luck in race number 3, and we'll see you at the checker flag.
Thank you, mate.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, hearing from Ben Altria and, well, his perspective on what has been a challenging race number 1, but a happier race number 2. And, well, can he have an even happier race number 3? Well, we're going to be finding out as we get ready then, with only 20 seconds left on the clock. And we will try and catch a word from each of our drivers as the season goes on. Everyone absolutely set and ready to go. Now, we won't be getting into the words of any other drivers right now for the simple reason, well, they're all set, they're all ready to go. And I think right now they want to put their attentions towards one thing and one thing only, and that is going to be the best part of what will be almost 30 laps of racing here for the final racer day at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. But who will come away victorious? Who, meanwhile, will languish behind? It's time to find out. So as our drivers make the way to the grid for the final time today in round 1 of the championship, it's race number 3, and this is how they line up for the 25-minute feature. It is going to be Alan McCain who takes the full reverse grid at pole position. He is joined on the front row, the iRacing Esports driver, by Mark Sykes for NXTGEN Racing. The 499 had a brilliant scrap with Ian Manners over the course of race number 2, with both drivers having a bit of a difficult race, but behind him will be Ian Manners this time, and can the privateer in the 52 make his way on through? If he can't, Lewis Mason for Aztec Racing will be right there with him, the 991, and then we do have a 5th Pro-Am driver before you come to your pros, and that's Cal Murray for NXTGEN Green. But the thing for Wes Murray, he's going to be in the teammate of his fellow pro driver Adam Delmont, who'll be starting 6th place. And well, could this be a race where Adam Delmont is able to carve his way through quickly and just run off into the distance? If he can't, could it be his son, Lewis Delmont, NXTGEN Green driver as well, who had a frustrating race number 2 to add to what was a challenging race number 1, and therefore he'll be looking to try and land the big result in the final race of the day. Then in 8th, it's Thomas Delaney, and well, we've seen some brilliant racing from the 555 driver. He's been getting absolutely stuck in versus his fellow Pro-Am peers. What can he do from the 8th place spot on the grid? Because behind him will be Track Scotland's Stuart Wyness and William Kirtler for Aztec Racing, who complete your top 10. Outside the top 10, starting 11th, don't forget about him, it's the other Track Scotland driver, Kieran Smart. A great race number 1, a difficult race number 2, but can Track Scotland get things back on track, to excuse the pun, and make the way to victory in the Pro-Am class one last time today? Nigel Stott for Crest Autosport, he's finished 4th in both races so far in the Pro-Am class. Can he stop finishing 4th? Can he move up the order and make his way onto the podium? Well, the Crest Autosport driver will be very eager to do so. Matthew Shepperton starts behind him in 13th place for Aztec Racing, ahead of NXTGEN Green's Sam Bradley. And then we do have Lee Horn for NXTGEN Racing in 15th, ahead of Ben Altrier for Full Tilt Motorsport. We just heard from him only moments ago and looking to keep going forward. There will be Ben Gregory, his teammate, behind him on what is the 9th row of the grid, and in the company of Andrew Pike, who lines up 18th for the Sim Racing Collective Esports. And Jamie Dory for NXTGEN Racing begins this race 19th, ahead of Sam Smith for iRacing Esports, and will Sam Smith being one of the drivers of the 1-2 fashion, the iRacing Esports team, and behind him will be none other than Gavin Gardner for NXTGEN Racing, and then Nick Clemens, who is Sam Smith's teammate and winner in the Pro-Am class in race number 2, where he starts 22nd. Kieran Sharp begins this one in 23rd place for the Sim Racing Collective Esports, with then Mikey Doble, the runner-up from race number 2 for Double Sim Racing in 24th, and last but not least, started 25th. Well, he started the pole, he started 15th, and he's now starting last but not least with the full reverse grid. It's Isaac Doble for Double Sim Racing, who completes that started order and knows it is a very long run to the front of the field. But if anybody can do it, arguably he can, and well, will he be able to do so as we jump aboard his car? And that is the full field he has in front of him there. It is a long field of cars, but he's got a long period of time compared to race number 1 and 2 in order to make it happen. Further up the order as well, we'll keep your eyes out for Thomas Delaney. He'll be starting on the left-hand side of the grid on the 4th row. Can he, in the 555, make his way up into Pro-Am victory? Indeed, many a question there, but the lights are going on for the final time, ladies and gents, for today. And without further ado, it is going to be 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out, away we go. Does Alan McCain get a good start? And the answer is yes, he does. As Mark Sykes, meanwhile, tries to gradually look around the outside of him, but I don't think Sykes is going to have enough momentum, and McCain is away. But as they come down in towards turn 1's apex, it's going to be Mason on the inside there, making his way up through ahead of Ian Manners. Manners now looks to try and come back at him, as it's going to be free wide there. Adam Delmont immediately trying to pounce here, but not able to find his way through. The field make the way into the opening corners. Cold tyres and cold brakes. This is going to be a little bit testy on the first lap of the race, particularly when you've got colder track temperatures now. The circuit is cooling a little bit, and as they all come down to the braking zone. And for what is Graham Hill Ben, well, absolutely lovely clean racing from all the drives so far as they make their way towards the second half of this opening lap. But roaring the one through, side by side goes Delaney versus what is Smart here too. Wide Smart in the end offline. That's going to bring his teammate Wyness up the inside. So the Track Scotland drives now on each other's toes as they make the way on through and up towards what will be lap number 2. There's a bit of a run wide there from what is Smart, but just about brings it together. So after 1 lap of race, it's Alan McCain who leads overall in prime ahead of Lewis Mason, followed by Mark Sykes, all bit side by side here. Will it be that way coming out Paddock Hill Ben? They've got Adam Delmont on the inside behind them, trying to squeeze his way through. Can't find his way in at the moment, and as they make the way down, we're still too wide here between Mason and Sykes. And Sykes try to look all the way around the outside of Druids Bend. Onto the brakes they go, but Mason right now, the 991, just holding his line there, and well, they'll be separated by nothing in the end, as there's been a bit of a shuffle further down the order. Oh, goodness me! As a couple of cars ejected out, that's the 23 of Lewis Delmont and Mark Sykes with him. We will try and get a replay of that, and now, oh, it folds. That's going to be what is, I believe, Thomas Delaney going for for a spin, and well, they quickly get ejected off the circuit car into the barrier there as well. That is Sam Bradley, who's had to take a bit of a rallycross approach there as he's made his way down towards turn number 4, and the whole field queues up behind Sam Bradley as he rejoins. But I have to get a replay of what exactly happened there in due course, but definitely a surprise and not a welcome one to be certain, ladies and gentlemen, for a number of drivers. But whilst all that's been happening, and Callum Murray's now moved up into 8th place, making more progress, albeit he's going to drop a place there to Lee Horn, who goes around the outside of him into that braking zone, out the inside of him, we should say. Let's get our directions corrected. And Horn offers, there's a tap there, and Murray sent one way, then the other, but the full team machine gets back in the right direction very quickly. And well, I think that was contact there with what was Kieran Sharp, unless I'm mistaken, and the whole field now starts to come through. And I think now the red mist is starting to descend for a few drivers here, but everyone will very quickly start to calm things down. But as, oh goodness me, Gavin Garner going around there and collecting was the 57 that does a massive pirouette through the sky, and Andrew Pike in the end up on his roof for a brief moment. I don't think Pike's race is going to be going forwards anymore. Something tells me that's going to the pit lane very quickly, and Will Sunny on laps 2 into 3. It's all unfolded as that is Ben Trier going around. I wonder if he's got any damage on the car from an earlier contact. If not, that might be his own volition, but definitely right now it has all gone the wrong way for a number of drivers on what is lap number 3 today, and Trier struggling there, and I suspect there's some damage. But as I try to make the way across that timeline, well, right now no sign of a safety car at the moment, and as it goes on, well, Alan McCain is still leading, but William Kirtler now battling side by side with Matthew Sheraton here. The two was Aztec Racing drivers fighting all the way in towards what is Druids Bend. Lee Horn cuts up the inside one. He tries to get them both done in a very quick order of succession. And down towards what is turn number 3, well, they're going to be 2 by 2 here, and Horn trying to go all the way around the outside versus Sheraton. And well, as they make the way through, it is going to be still too wide as they head up towards what we turn number 4. But Horn is able to outdrag Sheraton, and now it's going to be where's Kieran Sharp trying to go outside to inside here. Well, it's brave, it's bolder from Sharp, but he's not going to give in here. And Sharp normally knows when a move's going to work, and he does exactly that in the Sim Racing Collector number 16, and moves up into 7th place as Sheraton now falls down to 8th, albeit still bringing Cutler along with him. At the front of the field, Alan McCain does have Adam Delmont right behind him, and well, these two very well acquainted in racing each other, previously having raced each other in the Pro-Am class of what is the NXTCC many a season ago, albeit what is Adam Delmont moving up into the Pro class, Alan McCain still racing in the Pro-Am class, and well, we have seen some fireworks between them in previous years, and right now they're getting very tasty here as they make the way towards turn number 3, albeit Delmont's going to try and go around the outside here, and greater confidence in his corridor speed, in towards what we turn number 4 they go, and as they head in towards the left into right here, they're still too wide as they come through. McCain is not giving up on this, but the problem is he will have to give up a bit of track position on the outside of the exit of 4 in order to enable himself to set up the run for 5, and that's going to enable Adam Delmont to get out the inside there, and Adam Delmont for it to lead this race as they make the way to lap number 6. A lovely move there from what was Adam Delmont, but great respect shown for Alan McCain, and also showing he's not just here to make up the numbers as they go on to the 6th turn of the circuit, and as he looks around the outside, can Delmont hold on here? Well, McCain's going to get close, but I think Delmont is going to now this position and start to pull away little by little, unless McCain can absolutely make a magical move into turn number 2, and the answer is no, he can't. As meanwhile, Kieran Sharp battling with Lee Horn. Horn looking around the outside here, and well, Sharp is up the inside, conversely into Druids to try and take the place off of him, and well, Matthew Sheraton's going to come through with him as they come down in towards turn number 3. Lee Horn losing 2 places there for the price of 1 quarter. I think Horn might be playing the game which is save the tyres, they'll be needed later on in the race. Isaac Doble, meanwhile, battling here with Benjamin Gregory, with Jamie Dory trying to come through, and Nick Clements being attacked by what is all 3 of these pro drivers, I should say, as the Pro-Am driver drops behind them all. So Clements there opting to stay on a wider line in towards turn number 5, almost losing the rear of the car there does number 13 driver, catched it just in time, but that could have gone very, very backwards very quickly into the grass, but not quite so, and he'll be happy he's been able to catch that, but he won't want to make that mistake again. As from them, Kieran Sharp now up the inside of Nigel Stock, the Crest Autosport Pro-Am driver there, still running in full place the Pro class, as that's Lee Horn round. Oh, goodness me, and that's going to be a big, big jump there, as it looks as though what is the, unless I'm mistaken, the number 13, well, in fact, that's not the 13, I'm trying to see who that was. I think that was Benjamin Gregory in the 113 being collected, so the full tilting motorsport machine that gets caught up there. Lee Horn making a mistake over the rise of Paddock Hill Bend, and well, 3 drivers there fall down the order. Matthew Sheraton loses out the least of the trio, but a nightmare instant for them. Thankfully, they've all been able to get away with it, and the rest of the field hasn't piled through it. And as all the drivers continue to push onwards, well, we need to take a look back at some instances from earlier on, including what happened on lap number 2, because plenty happened. And here was the replay of the Lewis Delmont Andrew Pike incident firstly. And well, this was Delmont making his way out of Druids Bend as he came on around. Well, Mark Sykes came through and in the end lost control of the car and collected was Lewis Delmont. And then Andrew Pike, well, he makes his way on down. What exactly happens to Andrew Pike here? Well, I believe Andrew Pike had a separate incident on this lap and then subsequently it all went wrong. So we take a look back at it from Andrew Pike's perspective, and this may have been up into Druids Bend. Was he elbowed out here in his battle with Lee Horn on lap number 2? And the answer is he came up through. Yes, he was given a tap. That, I think, was by one of the full tilt Motorsport machines. That's what sent Pike on round. And then only moments later, we did have the incident for Thomas Delaney. He tapped the rear of the back of the number 14, and then everyone concerted into him. The 555 went round, as did the number 61. Oh, that was a nightmare moment for them. But speaking of nightmare moments, then only what was a little bit later, Stuart Winus was in the 61 there being caught up. We should correct ourselves with regards to who the driver was involved. Well, then we did have what was this for Lewis Delmont a lap later, and also we had the big incident for Andrew Pike, but Lewis Delmont making his way up into Druids Bend through the right-hander. He went in the number 23, trying to cover through. Car went round, that was Gareth Gardner, and will Pike be collected on the rear corner, and Lewis Delmont just crashing into what was none other than, I believe, Gareth Gardner's stranded car. And then for Andrew Pike, well, what exactly happened to him? Well, we'll get the on board here with regards to Andrew Pike, and well, for those of you who are of a nervous disposition, well, you might want to look away from the screen now. So he came up through there, you'll see Gardner coming across, gets tapped on the rear left, and the car rolls once, it rolls twice, it rolls 3, it goes for 4, and Andrew Pike in the end will come into a firm upside down motion at the end of that replay. Well, those are the opening, what was it, laps 2 and 3, taking a replay of everything that happened there. And well, from those, we come back to your live racing action now, ladies and gentlemen, as more is to play out here, as we do see what is almost 4 abreast, as that's Jamie Dory taking very liberal use of how wide the circuit is, as he runs 2 wheels up onto what was the grass there coming out of the final corner. Onto lap 10 they go, and as they do, well, that is the battle for 10th place unfolding on our screens as they roar the way around. But right now, well, Kieran Smart holding on ahead of Nick Clemens. Clemens really right now being at what is the cork in the proverbial bottle, as there's a brief tap between himself and Jamie Dory in towards turn at number 2. Dory up the inside, and well, Dory now picking his way on through a little bit further and faster. Mikey Double comes on through, and well, Clemens goes round at the 390, and Matthew Sheraton gets clipped there and ricochets off the tyre barrier, but it looks as though the car's all okay. And well, Matthew Sheraton using up multiple lives there in terms of, if he was a cat with 9 lives, I think he's used at least 5 or 6 of them so far, given the way things have played out in this race for him. But that could have been very, very different there. That could have seen him go to the pit lane, but the 390 car carries on here, and right now Matthew Sheraton not giving up whatsoever. But from them, looking back up the order to William Kurtler versus Mikey Doble. Well, Doble found his way through in the carnage of what's coming out of Druids Bend only moments ago, and now as they head up towards Paddock Hill Bend once again. Well, Dory looking around the outside there of what is Kieran Smart as they make the way over. Dory gets the move on the outside, but Kurtler has been passed by Doble as well down the start for the straight, and we've got Sam Smith right on the back of this as they fight over 6th place in the Pro-Am class. But drivers making the way on around. We have got Mark Sykes and Middletree in the pit lane. Gavin Goddard's had to retire from the race, but otherwise we do have the majority of the field still out there, albeit some drives a lap down at the moment. And well, from there we look to Lewis Mason, who's running in 3rd place overall, 2nd place in Pro-Am, albeit for a brief moment. He goes round, and Ian Manners looks to go around the outside to avoid the spinning car, and in the end almost taps it further. So in the end he's able to stop it in time, but Ian Manners will lose out massively there, and Manners doing the right thing but picking the wrong direction to do it in, and as a result the 52 loses all that time and ground it's been able to gain. Albeit thankfully the two did have a coming together, as it would have been far, far worse as they come across that line. Well, now it's going to be Dory versus what is Kieran Smart once again. Kieran Smart back on the inside here as they come through in towards turns 1 and 2. A bit of a tap there, and that's going to send Smart sideways and Dory the other way, and Mikey Doble just goes through the middle like Moses and says, well, thank you, I'll take 2 please. So Mikey Doble now up into 7th place with Dory dropping down, and Kieran Smart, William Kurtler and Sam Smith all together. They're fighting over 4th place in where's the Pro-Am class in all of the chaos that's happened inside the top 10. Keep in mind that Nigel Stocks all the way up into 4th place, overall 2nd place in Pro-Am, so therefore he's been able to benefit massively. And well, as these drivers are all on, well, right now I think Smart is going to have to worry more and more about Kurtler, Smith and Manners all closed up, and Ian Manners now will have a point to prove here as we jump on board with the 52, the privateer here, as he makes his way around in a very colourful livery machine. He's always associated with these vibrant colours, because the thing is the driver was absolutely running a great race all the way towards the front of the prime field. field, but now he's got the hard work to do, as that is going to be Smith up the inside of Kurtler on screen there. You can see Smith on the inside of the paddock hill. Ben gets the move done or thereabouts. Sparks flying from the underneath of the cars. They make their way up in towards what is turn number 2, and Kurtler just tucking in behind there in number 32, as Manners meanwhile just watches on here. Doesn't really have an opportunity to get involved right now, but you can see it's going to be Smith going defensive versus Kurtler down into turn number 3. Kurtler breaks early, try and get the cut back, and Manners has to in turn break a little bit earlier than anticipated and isn't able to quite leverage the speed that he's got in towards that braking zone. As they come through left into right at turn number 4, we're almost at the halfway point of this race right now, and as we get towards that halfway point, Lewis Mason trying to keep Dory and Smart behind him, albeit it goes deep there at turn number 5. Dory up the inside, here comes Smart as well, so therefore it's a smart play for the Scotsman. He gets the inside of Mason, who almost takes a bit of yard trim instead down the start for this straight, and as they come to the timing line, it's going to be Smart now up into 7th place, and he does go side by side with Dory into turn number 1, and well, it really has been the story of these two. They have been side by side into turn 1 on every lap for the last 5 laps, but they are progressing jointly up the field together. They really are working together at the same time as battling each other. It's a wonderful sight to see. Lewis Mason, meanwhile, still there's a big lock-up from Sam Smith just behind. Dory's run wide. That's going to bring Mason onto the outside of Dory here to Graham Hill Bend. Bit of contact between the two of them. That's going to now see what is Sam Smith tuck up the inside. So Mason loses a place, drops to 5th place in the pro class, 10th overall. William Kurtler still there as well, trying to push Mason forward. And Ian Manners all over the back of the pair of the Aztec Racing machines. They try to work together to make sure they don't lose at the sniff of the toe in that battle. Behind them, Matthew Sheraton fighting hard here with Thomas Delaney. Delaney defending to the inside there through what is at turn 4 into 5. And as they exit the corner, well, right now Sheraton's going to have to be a bit more inventive here as he runs very close to the rear bumper of his rival. In fact, almost taking the camera off the car. I think we have lost that camera on the front of what is Sheraton's car. He's going to look all the way around the outside here into turn number 1. Well, Delaney's just going to simply park the car on the inside, try and hold it to 13th place and hold it to some valuable overall points. Up the hill they go, switching back to the inside goes Sheraton. He looks one way, then looks the other. Can't make either one work out at the time, but he just stays right with him right now and looking for another opportunity, but that opportunity is not forthcoming. And Thomas Delaney definitely proved himself to be a very ample defensive driver here at Brands Hatch, and well, that's going to look very good for him as the season goes on, because if he can find the pace as well, you can imagine that for what will be Thomas Delaney, who could definitely prove to be a very difficult driver to beat over the championship season. But as we continue to roar away deeper and deeper into the second half of this race, we're back towards what is the top 10 of the field. And right now, this is Doble versus Smart, as I believe as soon as we cut away, there's been an instant for Thomas Delaney. We will come back to that very shortly as to what's happened to the 555 driver, who we're singing the praises of only moments ago. And that does seem to way. We sing the praises of a driver, and the commentator's curse immediately kicks in. Whereas Doble here tries to keep Smart and Dory behind. Dory looking to the outside now through turn number 2, can't quite find it this time, just has to wait his turn. Coming on down there in towards turn number 3, does he find a way in at this time? And the answer is no, he doesn't. So Kieran Smart definitely proved to be frustrating for Dory to find a way through, as Dory takes a very liberal use there of the track limits at turn number 3. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get a warning over the intercom into the car shortly. Does head up the rise in towards what will be at turn number 5. They're going to be all separate for now. Looking further back, Sam Bradley still on the hunt versus Benjamin Gregory, staying very close there in the NXTGEN Green Machine. The 69 absolutely glued to the back of Gregory's car in the battle for 13th place, and they have got Nick Clemens coming up behind them quite quickly, so therefore this is a move that Bradley will want to make happen sooner rather than later, albeit he's not quite able to build the momentum out of clearways initially. But now on the start for this straight, he's got the toe. Can he find a move around the outside? And the answer is going to be no, he can't. What he's going to try to do instead is go for the cutback here, but runs a little bit deep off apex, and that's going to enable Benjamin Gregory just to simply hold his position as they roar up the hill. Conversely, Ian Manners dropping it further down the order, I believe, or is in fact he gaining places? Well, I believe he's gaining as he's fighting there with Lewis Mason. That's for 10th place overall. Well, it's 5th place in Pro-Am, and he's going to be on the inside here to turn number 4, and Mason back it off there, knowing that being on that outside line doesn't always work out, albeit conversely, Manners carrying too much speed there and not used to be on a much tighter entry line to turn 4, and therefore Ian Manners almost loses it, but catches the car in time as he fights with the steering wheel, and Lewis Mason is able to get the place back. But coming to the start for this straight, was they come into the rear of the picture, at the front of the picture, it's 2 by 2 here as they come on down into turn number 1. And that is Kieran Smart ahead of Mikey Doe and Jamie Dory, with Sam Smith just watching on as there's gravel flying up as well, and it's getting a bit cloudy down at turn 1 into 2. I can imagine the spectators tuning in there will have quite a bit of sand in the rails right now as they make their way out to 2 in towards 3, and well, it is going to be Mikey Doe who clears this quartet, but now it's going to become a trio, and well, Kieran Smart and Sam Smith continue to fight each other, and Jamie Dory is trying to siphon his way between them, the sole pro in amongst the Pro-Ams, and well, Smart and also Smith absolutely putting on a brilliant performance right now in order to try and frustrate Dory and hold on to their overall points. And well, they're allowed to fight each other at the end of the day. There's no rules and regulations to say they're not allowed to fight each other. And remember, there's overall points up for grabs as well as Prime class points. And those overall points, where if a Pro finishes behind a Prime, they don't get the points from what is the position the Prime finishes in. They'll get the overall points that are for their final finishing position. But from them, Ian Manners up the inside, Lewis Mason in towards turn number 1. Does he get it stopped in time? Yes, he does. It comes on through. Does the head up the rise in towards turn number 2. Mason back on the inside now in towards Druids Bend. They continue to swap this place back and forth on lap number 19. They're absolutely locked into this fight as from them. Nick Clemens versus Thomas Delaney. Where it looks as though Delaney around the outside there, Clibbins, for what is 14th place overall, 8th place in the Prime class, and an absolute succinct move there made by the 555, and now making a bit more recovery progress. But as they continue to progress, well, we had a bit of an incident for Kieran Sharp only moments ago. What exactly has happened to Sharp? Well, here's the replay, ladies and gentlemen, and the Sim Racing Collective Esports having a nightmare day today here, no doubt about it, as he made his way in towards what was turn 4, and well, Sharp carrying a bit too much apex curb. Oh, goodness me, and the coin to the barrier, and that's the second time today we have seen what is a Sim Racing Collective car on its roof in this race, and an absolute nightmare race for both Kieran Sharp and also Andrew Pike. And will both cars right now, I believe, multiple laps down at this point, and both being repaired if they haven't already. But as our drives continue onwards, Delaney versus Clemens, this is continue to go onwards, and well, Delaney right now, we'll get a replay as to what exactly happened to Delaney to put him all the way down into position in short order. But right now he's enjoying this little scrap for what is 8th place in Prime between himself and Clemens. Nothing between them. Clemens in the end run out a little bit wide. It gets back up what is the rear of Delaney as they make the way out to turn number 3. And heading in towards what will be turn number 4. Well, right now, left and to right they go. And Delaney there close, but not close enough to think about a move. He's just going to have to wait his clip-ins in order to be able to make a move on the start for this straight. But from them, coming back into what is the top 10, Manners, Kurtler and Smart. They're all together. The 3 Primes now separated from Jamie Dory, who's watching from behind. And into the braking zone they go. And now it's going to be Manners looking around the outside. Well, Manners is not letting the incident from earlier upset his momentum whatsoever. And coming up the hill, we can see Smart there thinking about the inside, but in the end doesn't get an opportunity to put the car there. So as they make the one around, we look back from the rear of the 32, William Kurtler, that lovely coloured was Aztec Racing machine. Absolutely brilliant job they've done the livery for that. And well, right now, Kieran Smart close, but not close enough to really look for a move. So they make the way out the left-hander, and up towards what will be turn number 4 they go. And well, here comes Smart then. Can he get close enough to think about moving to 5? He's thinking about it, no doubt about it, but in the end, on the brakes, he's going to go all in. He does, and Smart absolutely lunges out the inside there. Kurtler sees it coming and lets the car roll deep out of the corner, but that's going to bring Dory into the mix now as they come out of what is the final corner. Onto lap 22 they'll go. Dory tucks up the inside there of what will be, I believe, Smart, but it's going to be Kurtler who leads this quartet across the line, practically being pushed across there by what is Dory. It's William Kurtler, and Kurtler holds on to 8th, but Dory's on the inside into 9th, and now Kieran Smart drops to 10th, but here comes Ian Manners, albeit Smart gets a poor run, coming out Paddock Hill. Ben has to go defensive immediately, and Manners now looking around the outside. There's a big snap there on the front end for Dory. Sees him almost lose it, goes straight on, and that's going to drop into a side-by-side battle with Smart once again. As quickly as Dory can make a place, he then loses one subsequently, and right now for Jamie Dory, I don't think he knows where he's coming or going, but as they make the way on around and onwards, well, from them, we have had what is a closing of our leaders, Adam Delmont, who has been leading for some time, has Adam Delmont. Well, right now he does have always Alan McCain right behind him once again, albeit they do have a Lee Horn behind the back of them, but albeit Lee Horn is a lap down, and therefore it's not really eligible to get involved in this battle, as we have got Ian Manners a little bit further down. I thought he came into the pit lane then based on what our time and tower information is, but no, he was just trying to look up the inside down the start finish straight, I do believe. But right now Adam Delmont under some pressure from McCain as the leader of the Pro class heads the leader of the Prime class, but this 1-2 configuration, it's only 2.5 tenths between them, and if anything, I think Alan McCain at this point is actually starting to really settle in. Well, the iRacing Esports driver, I wouldn't be surprised if he's been watching the lines that Delmont has been taking, and he's been able to learn them quite quickly, because right now Alan McCain, he's looking for a potential move here into turn 1. He's going to go for around the outside here versus Delmont, so McCain right now is trying to go for overall victory here. He's not just settling for what is the victory in the Prime class, and who can blame him, because there's even more points on the table, and the iRacing Esports driver made a move, albeit it's not quite worked out this time, but Adam Delmont will now know that he's not just going to be able to lead this race all the way to the conclusion. As they come down in towards turn number 3, we'll take a brief hiatus from their battle, and Nigel Stock, meanwhile, well, he's all over the back of Mikey Doble, albeit I believe Doble may have found his way past Nigel Stock in recent laps. But the flip side of the coin being is that right now Nigel Stock just tucking in behind the Crest Autosport machine. He's comfortably on course for 2nd place in the Pro-Am class, and also on course for what is a 5th place finish overall. So that'll be an absolute lion's haul of points there for the number 30 driver. And after 2 4th place finishes in the Pro-Am class for races 1 and 2, well, it feels as though things are much more in a happier place after what was just missing out on the podium in both of those races. But as he comes on through there, Mikey Doe gradually starts to open up the gap a little bit. Well, our leaders are already on to lap number 25. And well, from where he's battling inside the top 10, let's come down to Stuart Winers in what is 15th, chasing after Ian Manners, and well, Manners has been relegated further on down the order, and I believe there was a big off track for Ian Manners. Can we get a replay to explain what happened to him? Yes, we can. And, well, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, there was a moment where Ian Manners practically went into the pit lane. This was coming out of Clearway's corner. As he made his way on through then, it goes out a bit wide with a lot of steering lock and, well, a big haul of what's oversteer there, the car cutting around. And that's why we thought he'd gone into the pit lane. So he practically had gone into the pit lane, but he rejoined just before the pit lane entry line. So he was able to get away with that. But Ian Manners definitely having a close call and a pit stop that definitely he did not want to have. But as we do rejoin, and Manners tucking back in behind Stuart Winers for now. We still got 3.5 laps to go. And well, our leaders making their way on around right now. And Adam Delmont on your live screens. 2 tenths clear of Alan McCain. The gap to Isaac Doble in 3rd. It's 4.5 seconds, and it's not really coming down at the moment. And Doble, whilst he may be lapping a 10th a lap faster compared to the top 2, he's going to need a lot more for them to fight in order to get more involved. Meanwhile, we do see Mikey Doble going defensive here versus Nigel Stock. Stock's trying to come back at Mikey Doble for 4th place. And with what is a 9-second gap to Jamie Dory, well, these two can afford to fight. And with Isaac Doble being a further 9.5 seconds up the road, well, I think right now they really are settling in for this fight for 4th all the way to the very end. And can you blame them? Particularly for Nigel Stock right now. I think he does want to take on the number 88 and see whether he can get an upper hand here. Albeit Mikey Doble getting a much better run through turns 4 into 5. So I think Stock's the faster of the two on the opening half of the lap. Then the second half of the lap, it is Mikey Doble who is able just to pull away at what is quite the trot. But as they roar the way on towards what will be another lap, 3 to go between them. Further Ian Manners all over the back of Nick Clearing still, and they're bringing along with them a lap down car in the form of what is Andrew Pike, I believe. So no change between them there. So Manners still behind Nick Clearance as they come through. But from them, let's come back to the Stock Doble battle. Stock has got a head gone round the outside of Packhill Bend, but now you do see Mikey Doble back up the inside there as they come through Druid, and we're in a run on the outside line. That's only going to lead to a wider distance travelled by Stock, and he'll naturally lose the position, albeit I think right now he knows the back and forth exchange between the two of them, and therefore he's getting used to the rhythm here. And let's try and potentially mix things up in what is the last couple of laps. And it will be in the last couple as they make their way into turn number 5. Here's your leaders making their way into the penultimate lap. And Adam Delmont still leading by only what is 2 tenths over Alan McCain on average as they make their way down through Paddock Hill Bend. McCain is there. He's ever present. But can he turn himself from being ever present to an everlasting threat for victory? Well, the problem is right now, as much he can be close, he can breathe down the neck of Delmont. He's not got enough in order to be able to get ahead at this time. As meanwhile, I do believe Ian Manners has had to be towed to the pits for a further instant only moment to go off camera, ladies and gentlemen. That's unfortunate because Manners was enjoying a great little scrap for trying to fight his way back into the top 15 overall. But Delmont and McCain right now, 3 tenths they make their way into turn number 4. And McCain, if he's got any ace up his sleeve, now's the time he needs to show them. But as they make the way around, we look back to Jamie Dory and Kieran Smart here as we've got plenty of pro versus pro battles in these closing at stages of the race. And well, right now, Jamie Dory there running a bit wide coming out of turn number 3. Smart right there with him as they make the way in towards what we turn number 4. Can Smart find a way into the inside of 4? No, he can't. He'll tuck back in behind him and just wait his turn. Benjamin Gregory, meanwhile, cut up the inside of William Kurtler down the back straight in towards turn number 4. Just about getting that done as late as he dared to dream to do so. The number 113. And a good move there from Benjamin Gregory, and in making that progress right now, where he's trying to push onwards here for what will be chasing after Lewis Mason 2 seconds up the road and to try and hold on to that final top 10 spot. But meanwhile, coming back to your leaders, and these are the drivers we'll stay with now all the way to the end. While Alan McCain still the best part of half a second behind Adam Delmont as they come on through what is at turn 4 in towards 5. McCain just not got enough in the tank here to try and look for a move. So as they make their way out the final corner, well, Isaac Doble may have made it a win in races 1 and 2, but Adam Delmont, he was not able to make the win in the first 2 races, but he makes it land now. He is your winner in race number 3 of the day for Next Gen Green, ahead of your prime winner, second place overall, Alan McCain for iRacing Esports, and then it will be Isaac Doble who finishes 3rd in the end, and a lonely 3rd, but a triplet of podiums there for the 65 driver. What a way to start the season for Doble Sim Racing. Mikey Doble finished 4th, holding off runner-up in the prime class, Nigel Stock, who takes 5th, and then it will be a further 7.5 seconds behind. Another podium of the day for Track Scotland's Kieran Smart, who's 6th overall, ahead of Jamie Dory by what was 100th at the line. Sam Smith will take home 8th place ahead of Lewis Mason, and then it will be Benjamin Gregory who completes the top 10 ahead of William Kurtler, with Thomas Delaney coming on through in the 555 for a 7th place in the prime class, but a 12th place overall. Stuart Wine is 13th ahead of Matthew Sheraton, and then it will be Nick Clewins who completes that top 15 in the last of the overall points paying positions. We've still got a couple more drives to come through, because your last finisher will be Sam Bradley, who will finish on the lead lap there in 16th place, 10th place in the Pram class. Missed out on overall points, but still some key Pram Championship points there. And there's a lap down to Lee Horn, Callum Murray, Andrew Pike, and 2 laps down to Lewis Delmont, and the rest of the field retiring towards the end of the race, if not earlier. As Alan McCain there parks up on the start finish straight, he proceeds to celebrate. You can understand why he'll be absolutely over the moon with that victory in the Pram class, and the fact he kept Adam Delmont honest all the way for what was the chase for overall victory. And what a drive from Alan McCain there, albeit he did start at the very front of the field, but still you've got to be able to deliver it lap after lap, and Alan McCain doing exactly that, and that's why he's so proud of his achievements in this race. But as he puts up the smoke there and burns those tyres to what will be their rims, let's take a look at those race results subject to any Stewards inquiries, and here they are. Adam Delmont in the end then taking victory in the final race of the day overall, and in the pro class for Next Gen Green, coming through the field from what was a 6th place start ahead of iRacing Esports is Alan McCain, your prime winner and your runner up in the 212. Isaac Doble finishing 3rd there for Doble Sim Racing. A great drive from him to make it 3 podiums in a row, 2 victories and a 3rd. He won't be too upset about that, and he really has set the precedent for the rest of the field to follow. Just ahead of teammate Mikey Doble, who took 4th, and then Nigel Stott 5th there, runner-up in the prime class for Crest Autosport, and breaking what was the growing trend already of 2 4th place finishes in the prime class, for Indian making it to a podium on the 3rd time of trying. Kieran Smart was 6th, 3rd place finish in the prime class. A great job from the Track Scotland driver to make it back onto the podium there after a difficult race number 2. And it was Jamie Dorian 7th for Next Gen Racing in what was a challenging race for him. It ended up fighting with the prime drivers back and forth every step of the way, but in the end he was able to outrun Sam Smith for iRacing Esports and Lewis Mason for Aztec Racing to the line. 10th went the way of Benjamin Gregory for Full Tilt Motorsport, and in 11th it was William Kurtler, best the rest for Aztec Racing, in a solid drive there to what was a 6th place in the prime class, ahead of Thomas Delaney, the private 2, definitely showed today in the 555 machine. He seems to absolutely love these Legends machines, no doubt about it. Stuart Winus was 13th for Track Scotland, ahead of Matthew Cheverton, with the Aztec Racing drive being followed up by iRacing Esports' Nick Clewins, who rounded off the overall points paying positions. Sam Bradley was 16th, last of your lead lap finishers for Next Gen Green in a challenging race to end his day. One of a difficult day of racing, no doubt about it. And then it was a lap down to Lee Horn, Callum Murray, Andrew Pike, 2 laps down to Lewis Delmont there for Next Gen Green, but still classified as a finisher. And then we also had 3 laps down to Ian Manners, who will be classified, but from the privateer who had misfortune towards the end of the race where it all went backwards when he wanted it to go forwards. We also had the unfortunate retirements for the Sim Racing Collective Esports' Kieran Sharp, for Mark Sykes for Next Gen Racing, Full Tilt Motorsports Ben Altrier, and Gavin Garner for Next Gen Racing as well. And that lap 3 instant that definitely left the car in pieces, and the number 11 driver not being able to go back out on circuit. So 25 starters, in the end 21 finishers, ladies and gentlemen, of which 16 on the lead lap. And that brings all of our racing here for round number 1 of the championship of the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit to a close in the Next Gen Racing's Legends Cup Season 3, as brought to you on iRacing, powered by Doble Motorcycles. Well, the circuit may fall silent, but we've got plenty still to come on this broadcast, because in approximately what will be 10 minutes time, we'll be back for our post-round interviews with our drivers, who'll be volunteering their time to talk to us about their escapades and their exploits at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You won't want to miss those interviews. We'll see you shortly for those, but as we step away, don't be shy to let us know in your respective chat, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, alternative Twitch, what has been your favourite moments from the racing this evening in our season opener. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time for post-round interviews, and we're going to be hearing from some drivers today in the Pro and Pram classes who've had some absolutely brilliant stories. Started off with none other than two-time winner and triple podium finisher Isaac Doble, the privateer, in fact, for Doble Sim Racing, of course. And, well, from him we'll then be coming to Jamie Dory, the next-gen racing driver who absolutely delivered some brilliant battling action amongst pros and primes around him. And then lastly, we'll come to Lewis Mason in the Pram class for Aztec Racing, who, whilst he didn't achieve a podium in the Pram class, definitely achieved some brilliant battling action. But straight away then, we come to none other than Isaac Doyle, who joins me in the interview room now. Good evening to you, Isaac. And, well, what a brilliant way to start off your run in the Legends. Back-to-back victories and a third place. You couldn't ask for anything better, surely.
Yeah, well, it was alright, wasn't it? But it's these cars are very, very good cars, and honestly, two P1s and a P3, as you said, I couldn't really get much better than that tonight.
Well, indeed, an absolutely monstrous run from yourself from start to finish, and it all began in qualifying with what was an absolutely brilliant pole lap by the best part of what was over a tenth of a second. Just take us through how qualifying worked out for yourself.
Well, quality, it's all about the toe in this car and having the tyres at the optimal temperature for your lap. I can't remember who I was behind, but I believe it was Mikey for my quick lap. And because these cars are so like attention to detail when you're going round, it doesn't take much to hook up a really good lap. So once I had the perfect toe, I knew the time would always come if I just did what I did in practice.
Well, you did an absolutely superb job, it has to be said. And also, like you said, the toe being so strong on these cars, and we got to see that firsthand. And I can imagine with the toe as well, you're trying to work with your brother Mikey all the way through. We saw the two of you in the end, I believe, lock out the front row. Was there a bit of a mutual, you know what, I'll give you the toe this lap, you give me the toe the next lap?
Well, we hadn't actually said anything going into qualifying, so I didn't really know that was going to happen. But, you know, because we're brothers and the same teammates, we're obviously going to give each other a helping hand in quali if we can.
Well, that's absolutely fair. A helping hand then, and that definitely working out for the pair of you, no doubt about it. And going into race number one then, well, we got to see there once again just how strong the toe was between the cars. You weren't quite able to break away, albeit you led for a long time, and then suddenly in the closing laps, you're under major pressure.
Yeah, well, as you say, the toe is like impossible. To break away, I would have had to take a crash behind me, but as long as I was defending the inside every lap, I knew that they had to do the work to try and go around the outside, and on the last lap, it's just whether I can stay ahead towards the line, which I managed to do.
And I wonder if a little part of you perhaps was very grateful as race number one came towards its conclusion that with Adam Delmont and Kieran Sharp both close behind, they ended up fighting each other just as much, if not more, than they wanted to fight you. Although Adam Delmont, I think, might have given you a bit of a scare with that lunge up the inside on the final lap.
Yeah, he did a little bit, but I knew he had to brake very late for that corner, so if I just got the switch back, it would have been good. And then up into the hairpin, I just kept it nice and composed on the inside, and then saw them two have a little bit of contact, so I knew that was my chance to get away, and so I could stay ahead towards the line.
Well, making those chances count, no doubt about it in race number one. And in race number two, well, you had a bit of a different story to contend with there, starting 15th on the grid. Was there any plan in your mind as to how you're going to approach that, knowing now you'd have to get your elbows out and also demonstrate your monstrous pace in race one?
Well, going into that one, I was just thinking, it's a long season, you know, so I don't want to do anything stupid and make any unforced errors. So I thought as long as I kept it clean, then I should be able to, my pace should be able to take me up to the top 5 at least. I didn't expect to come away with a win from that race, I must admit.
Well, it was a superb run on through, and it looked as though over the entirety of the lap, you'd found a way to make overtakes happen at any corner, and when you're under pressure, be able to defend at any corner. Is Brands Hatch Indy a circuit that you like? Because you seem to be very dialed in at this circuit.
Yeah, well, it's my home track. I've been there too many times to count. I mean, I almost know this track inside out without having raced it in real life, so it just shows how good the sims are these days, and yeah, it does help a lot knowing the track.
Oh, most definitely. And that knowledge, once again, coming in handy for yourself in our final racer day, having started from the very back of the grid one last time, so 25th this time. You made your way all the way through to 3rd. I mean, it was a longer race, but you still had to work for it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said earlier, I was just trying to make no mistakes, keep it cool, and just carve my way through the field, which I managed to do in good time to secure a P3 at the end.
Well, absolutely superb run, no doubt about it, over the distance, and well, you'll be taking the most points of anybody, I suspect, coming out of this round and going into the next one. Although, just before we come to talking about the next round, a quick question with regards to your real-life racing. So I think we can talk about the fact you're raced in, correct me if I'm wrong, in the Fiesta Juniors Championship this year?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm out this weekend at Mallory Park.
Oh, well, fantastic to hear. How you been enjoying that so far?
Yeah, it's amazing, you know. It's so... I can't really put into words like how good it is. Like doing all the sim racing and then going into it real life, you know. It's just, it almost feels the same. Like the sim does help me so much, and the builds look really good racecraft as well.
Oh, fantastic. I can imagine everything you learn in real life you may apply on the simulator, and everything you learn on the simulator you're applying in real life. But coming back to the simulator, as we wish you all the best at Mallory Park this weekend, how are you feeling for when we do carry on the story at the Snetterton circuit in 2 weeks' time?
Well, I can't wait really to get out. It's going to be a very, very drafty track, so I don't expect anyone to be breaking away there, and it'll just be same as this one, defend the inside and see what you can do.
Oh, absolutely. I love the thoughts there for yourself, Isaac. And just before we do let you go, as always, is there anybody you want to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast this evening?
Yeah, thanks to you for doing a great stream. All my parents downstairs watching, however many are left, but watching still.
Oh, well, thank you, Isaac. And a big thank you to you for joining me in the interview room. We wish you all the best at Mallory Park this weekend, and also a huge well done on your great runner results there. You really have been the man of the day at Brands Hatch with 2 wins and a third, and we look forward to plenty more, both in the NXTCC and the Legends, in the weeks ahead. But until then, have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
So hearing there from Isaac Doble in the number 65, ladies and gentlemen, the pro driver absolutely flying sky high today, no doubt about it, and not holding anything back, but also they're really talking with a very mature mindset in the fact that a great qualifying and race one, enjoying this circuit, having never actually turned a physical lap on it in real life, but enjoying it on the simulator, and over the course of that qualifying session, mastering the need for the toe, mastering the need for the perfect line, and putting it all together. In race number 1, he was under pressure, but talked about the fact that when his rivals did get alongside, he knew exactly where to put the car to get back at them, particularly with Adam Delmont's absolutely brilliant attack on the inside into the final lap on the opening corner, but it wasn't going to perturb our number 65 driver. And then in races 2 and 3, thinking about the bigger picture, which is he doesn't need to win, just stay out of trouble and pick up the points, but he went on his way to a win in race number 2 and making his way onto the podium in race number 3, but playing it smart, safe, and knowing that he's got to build the foundations for his championship as he goes deeper and deeper into this season. We'll see him back again in a week's time on the NXTCC, and also in 2 weeks' time at the Snetterton 200 circuit. But in the meantime, we do wish him the best luck at Mallory Park this weekend, and I do believe that it's going to be broadcasted from the Mallory Park circuit, ladies and gentlemen. If we can at NXTGEN Racing, we'll let you know how you can tune into that after today's broadcast. But with that then, coming from our first interviewee to our second interview of the day, we're now going to be coming to Jamie Dory, who gets ready to join me in the interview room. And as he does so, we're going to be hearing the story of the man who definitely enjoyed himself out there just as much as Isaac Doble did, coming from one pro to another. And well, here comes Jamie Dory then into the interview room. Good evening to you, Jamie. And well, we talked about in the build-up to this season only weeks ago how excited we were. In fact, only before this broadcast started and the races started, how excited we were for the Legends. But something tells me, now that you've raced around with it, I think you've missed this, and you've missed it massively.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's it's close wheel-to-wheel racing with anything can happen, isn't it? Really.
Oh, 100%. Anything can happen at any time, and it normally does. And for yourself today, I mean, you're absolutely stuck into the fighting every step of the way. And intriguingly, 3 7th-place finishes and a 3rd in qualifying. I mean, let's just break it all down a little bit firstly. Qualifying, a 3rd place, all left to the last moment. Isaac was telling us only moments ago about the importance of the slipstream out there. How was qualifying for you?
Yeah, quali was all right. It was. It takes a little while to get the front end dialed in on these. The tyres are very hard to rotate the car initially. So it's just trying to bring the tyres up to temp nice and softly. So you've got about 5 push laps and then box for another set, do it again. I managed to create an allegiance with Adam Delmont and Lee late on in quali because we were all a bit down there. And yeah, eventually it paid off. I knew I had the pace in the car. It was just trying to get some friends on side to to pull me around, which I suppose is the perks of being the admin. People tend to try and help a little bit.
Well, for the perks and the prize of finishing third in qualifying, so going onto the grid for race number one. Race number one saw you make a little bit of progress early on and then gradually pushed a bit further down the order to a 7th place finish. But I don't think you were complaining about that.
No, I mean, I was taken by surprise at the start. Obviously, we manually start the races. And it was just one of them things. The race director said 10 seconds and push race start. Obviously, I do a little speech to the drivers prior to going racing. I didn't even have my gloves on, so I completely missed the start with just an administrative error, which happens. So I had to start second from last with Sam Smith, and just, I suppose that's one way of finding out how the field are working and battling through to P7, which was fun. So I'm glad it happened. To be fair, it was interesting, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'll get my teeth into this. I missed it.
Well, you got your teeth into it and fought your way all the way through the field from what was that pit lane start effectively. And then going into race number 2, I mean, we saw you again have to make some progress given the fact the top 15 was inverted, albeit you barely changed your starting position from when you finished in race number 1, interestingly enough. But in that race, it was just as much about fighting with the pros as it was the pro-ams.
Oh, yeah, I think, obviously we changed the classes up to round 3, and the thing with the Legends since the new build is the tow is astronomical. I think the pro-am and the pro status doesn't mean much in regards to pace. It's just the way I classify is how drivers approach it with the bigger brains in circumstances. You've got like I would quote Lewis Hamilton, who thinks about the whole race and is very methodical with it, which is what I see a pro as in someone who thinks, oh, I'm going to sit back for 2 laps and then I'll go for it. Compared to a pro-am who has got the pace of a pro, but maybe fights for every position rather than just that's all it is. So, pro-ams, I'll give them as much respect and they give the pros as much respect. And it's good fun. It's good fun.
Oh, 100%. And appreciate you breaking down exactly the differences between the pros and the primes out there, Jamie. And I think everyone tuning in will be very grateful for that. And that just gives them an insight in the fact that primes can be just as good as the pros, like you say, at the end of the day. And everyone's there to enjoy their spot on the grid. But speaking of enjoyment, of course, race number 3, full grid gets inverted. You started all the way down in what would have been 19th place, if my memory serves me correctly. You found your way through early on, and then you end up in a bit of a ding-dong battle for the best part of, I think, 15 laps with Sam Smith, Lewis Mason, and Kieran Smart, and they're not letting you go at any point, no matter how hard you try.
No, I mean, it was similar to race 2. Obviously, me and Mikey were quite evenly paced in the Legends, and there was a few points I was quicker than him. It happened in race 2, it happened in race 3. Mid-corner speed at 2 specific corners, I was a little bit quicker. On these, you can't just jump on the brakes because they do rotate. So it's quite difficult. And a small front bumper push on a rear bumper push, it just rotates the front. Happened in race 2 and happened in race 3. So then I got into the group with who you mentioned, and yeah, it was some good racing. It's slipstream. You pull away. You can do some moves around the outside. I think there was a 3 wide at one point. I went between the middle of 2 into Paddock Hill, and it's just that's what Legends about. There's grip all over the track. You can give each other so much room, and you can move the cars around with very little contact, which just brings racing what racing should be, and that's close thought, frantic action the whole way through the field, no matter where you are with any driver.
Oh, indeed. I'm completely with you there. And it was an absolutely brilliant race. And like you say, so close in the end, running door-to-door, lap after lap. And those 29 laps absolutely flew by. Well, it may not have been podium day, but definitely consistent 3 7th places in a row. In 2 weeks' time, we head to the Snetterton 200 circuit. How are you feeling for the outer layout of the United Kingdom's second longest track?
Well, all I'm going to say is, if anyone who's tuned in has seen the tow on the main straight or main straight curve at Brands Hatch, which isn't that long, when you've got the Bentley Straight and the main straight at Snetterton. I think with more drivers being involved, like I say, we should have mid-30s. I think, Paul, you best have a couple of glasses of water with you. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, fair play, and I'll take that warning. Don't worry, Jamie. I appreciate the heads up. But just before we do let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast?
Yeah, as always, you know, the back staff, you know, Paddy, who was doing the race director today, done a stellar job. Gaz doing the safety car, didn't do many laps. Yourself for doing a quality stream as always, you know, the next gen voice, and everyone tunes in. All the drivers and everyone who helps run it and participates. It's, you know, it's a clockwork, like I say every time. All I do is the paperwork behind the scenes, and everyone else in this league is the people who make it run. So, yeah, thank you to them all.
Well, Jamie, we have to say a big thank you to you as well, as the man who keeps things turning at the front with regards to Legends and the NXTCC, and well done in your results day. And thank you for joining me in the interview room. We look forward to plenty more from yourself and the whole field at Snetterton in a week's time. But until then, have a great rest of your evening.
Beautiful, thank you.
So hearing it there from Jamie Doria, our pro driver for NXTGEN Racing, really giving a candid view there, not just his own racing this evening, but also about the ethics, the approach, the different classes on the grid, and what makes Legends Racing so good. And talking out the closest there, and the fact you can have a battle with the pros just as much as you can with the pro-ams over the distance, regardless what class you're in, and really enjoying the racing. Also highlighting just how strong the toe has been today, and that elevation of the toe compared to the previous model of this machine on the iRacing platform, and the fact that we could expect it to be even stronger at Snetterton with the circuit's two long straights of both the Bentley and Senna straights there. So plenty more to look forward to from the man himself behind the scenes, keeping things running in the Legends series and organising it week on week, but also the man who's very eager to keep pushing it up through the field and enjoying the battling with anybody who comes his way. Now, coming to our final interview for this evening, ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from what has been two pro drivers. So I think it's only fair that we now hear from what is one of our pro-am drivers as he gets ready to join me in the interview room. And we're going to be hearing from none other than what will be Lewis Mason as he gets ready to join me in the interview room. And we will hear his thoughts on what has been an absolutely fun day as he does join me now. Good evening to you, Lewis. And well, you said to me earlier on that you're going to be looking forward to the racing today at the Brands Hatch circuit, and I get the feeling that the racing hasn't disappointed you.
Race 1 and Race 2 was a bit disappointing. I was involved in a couple of incidents, but then Race 3 has definitely made up for it.
Oh, most definitely. I can say that with regards to result. 2 7th place in the Pram class and then a 4th. And, well, breaking it down a little bit more, qualifying didn't look to be the easiest qualifying session out there. I think a lot of drivers seemed to struggle with how little space there was and how you needed to find the toe. But where did you find yourself in qualifying?
Yeah, well, I had the toe off someone because I came out pretty fast, and then literally heading out of turn 1, I spun. And so by the time everyone had came past, I had no toe. But then luckily Will, who's also driving for Aztec, slowed down and we kind of swapped. So I'd give him the toe, then he'd give me the toe sort of thing. So it kind of helped a little bit.
So a bit of slipstream helped out. We do have quite a few Aztec Racing drivers on the grid for this season. Not just Will, but also Matthew Sheraton. And I believe Gabriel Yilmaz may be making an appearance later on this season. I mean, you guys have been a mainstay of Next Gen Series for some time now. It almost must feel like, in a way, you're becoming a bit of furniture on the grid. Not in a bad way, but you're getting very comfortable racing against everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to race against people that we were racing against last season, because obviously in the touring cars we're now in the blue lobby, which is, it's nothing bad. Obviously we're still racing against people in touring cars, and because of the tracks that we're doing it at, which wasn't able to have everybody there. But yeah, it's nice to race against people like Jamie and everyone again.
Oh, fantastic to hear that. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying that, racing against the same and similar company at week in, week out, and series from series. But coming back to your racing in, race number 1, not quite the way you wanted it to work out in the end, pretty much finishing where you started over the distance. What happened?
Yeah, so race 1, I had a good start. I used the same sort of method that I use in the Elantra and the touring cars, and it seemed to work. And just tried to take it cool. Turn 1 went well, didn't go into the gravel, didn't crash. And then turn 2, one of the don't know what team he drives for, one of the green and white cars just spun. went to the outside to try and avoid it, and then one of his teammates has been collected by him and spun across my nose and hit me. So it was just a bit unfortunate. Not really anyone's fault. It's just sort of a racing incident.
Well, an unfortunate incident, like you say, but still able to get back into the race and give it your all. And I have to ask, what's it like driving one of these Legends after a few knocks? It looks as though they're quite sturdy machines, even though you'd think perhaps they're quite fragile.
Yeah, these Legends are bulletproof. I mean, they're so much better to drive than the touring cars. Not like driving-wise, but obviously when you have a hit or whatever, you can just bounce back from it. Whereas in the touring cars, if you touch a wall or whatever, it straight away gives you the black and orange flag.
Well, appreciate the insight there. And with these old reliable machines, if you will, going into race number 2, another frustrating one there. A 10th place finish in the Pro-Am class in 22nd overall. It just didn't work out for you in race 2.
Yeah, I wasn't doing too bad. I think I had 1 or 2 moments where I had a half spin or a full spin. And then coming into Druids, someone spun in front of me and then might not have been looking where they were going and kind of rejoined right in front of me, which didn't help. But yeah, it was just a bit of the same as race 1, sort of.
Well, the first 2 races may have been a bit samey and not the way you wanted to go, but in race number 3, something tells me you may have really enjoyed that one, not just for finishing 5th in Pro-Am and 9th overall, but for the fact that, as we were saying to Jamie Dory only moments ago, for the best part of 15 laps, it was yourself, Jamie, Sam Smith, and also, I believe, Kieran Smart, all fighting absolutely tooth and nail.
Yeah, it was really fun because obviously last season in the touring cars I wasn't as competitive as them, so I've never really raced against them. But they're so clean when they're racing as well. It's like you expect them to try and squeeze you onto the grass and put you off, but they give you all the room that you need and not really much door banging, because obviously you can't door bang in these because the wheels stick out so far. But yeah, they're so clean with their driving. It was so much fun to race against them.
Well, definitely looks like you're enjoying yourself out there, and I can hear it in your voice as well, that enjoyment. And with this racing today, of course, not the start you perhaps wanted, but definitely a great result to end your racing at Brands Hatch on. How are you feeling for Snetterton in 2 weeks' time?
Well, I'm going there for the touring cars, so hopefully I pick up a bit of knowledge from watching that and bring it into the Legends.
Well, a little bit of studying never goes wrong. And like you say, bring that knowledge in. We'd love to see how you're able to apply it when we go racing there 2 weeks from now. But just before we do let you go, Lewis, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast?
William Kirtler for helping me in qualifying, giving me the tow, and all the people that are on the car like Claremont and Woodland and everyone that makes everything possible.
Well, Lewis, we also have to say a big thank you to you, of course, for joining me this evening for an interview. Congratulations on your performances. No doubt, a race 1 and 2, perhaps not to remember, but a race 3 certainly to remember. And we hope you're able to get plenty more at Snetterton in 2 weeks' time. But until then, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you out on track again soon.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
So hearing it there, ladies and gentlemen, from our final interview of the day, the Pro-Am driver was Lewis Mason in the 991, and talking there about the frustration in races 1 and 2 with regards to being collected in 2 similar incidents, cars spinning in front and in the end just not being able to go anywhere, and a racing incident, and that's the way it goes in these Legends. They're lightweight, they're easy to spin, and when you do end up coming to the path of one that's spinning, if you haven't got enough time to react, well then you normally end up getting clipped with it. But also talking about the ruggedness of these machines and the fact even if you get caught up in contact, you can go racing once again. And well, by race number 3, he got all the spins and damage out the way and then got to enjoy some absolutely brilliant and bold racing action. And something tells me the Aztec Racing driver right now really looking to use this round as a building block going into Snetterton in 2 weeks' time. Now he's able to do so. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more top 5s in the Pro-Am class out him, if not potentially his first podium of the season, given the pace he's demonstrated today. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings our interviews to a close. We want to say once again a big thank you to all 3 of our interviews. You've heard from, firstly, Isaac Doble for Doble Sim Racing, the Pro Class driver who really took the plethora of points today out of everybody with 2 wins, a pole position, and also what was 3rd place in race number 3. We then heard from series organiser and Pro Class driver for NXTGEN Racing, Jamie Dory, who wasn't quite able to finish on the podium, but 3 7th place finishes in a row, with a lot of consistency being shown there. And then we lastly heard from our Pro-Am driver just now of Lewis Mason for Aztec Racing, who enjoyed his racing out there, and in the end a great fight to what was a 4th place finish in the class right at the close there, and well, enjoying himself, no doubt about it. But there's still plenty more to come as this season goes on, and we look forward to seeing what Lewis Mason is going to be be able to do over the course of the season. So thank you to all three of them for joining me for a post-round interview, and we look forward to plenty more from them in 2 weeks' time. But with that, it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's show, and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting to know more about the NXTGEN Racing community, about all the series we run and how you can be on the grid, and indeed we've seen a number of you asking about being on the grid for what is this season of the Legends, and well, as we've mentioned earlier, this is the time now where you can find out how to do so. Well, firstly, we recommend you join our official website, or really visit our official website, and that's www.nextgenracing.co.uk, and as that website appears on screen now, in doing so, what you notice there, we will have all the information regarding our ongoing and upcoming series available, and also you can join the official NXTGEN Racing Discord using the link in the top right corner of the screen, and that is the beating heart of the NXTGEN Racing community, and then you can join the Discord and get in touch with the admins and find out how you can be on the grid for the Legends or any of our ongoing or other upcoming series as they do arise. Or if you don't want to go to our website, perhaps you're more of a social media person, well, you can, of course, follow us on Facebook, and that's at facebook.com/groups/NextGen Racing. And there you can find out a little bit more about the guys and girls behind the scenes who make up the NXTGEN Racing staff and admin team, and not just what they do on the simulated circuit, but also what they do on the real-life circuit, where a number of our administrators and staff members, being real-life racing drivers, alternatively marshals and track stewards. We'd also like to take a moment to say a thank you to our sponsors, including at PowerMax, Next Level Racing, Mark Sykes Designs, Joyce Design, Douglas Motorsport, Sam Cases UK, Falconer PC Builds and Support, Benji Sim Photos, and last but not least, of course, our title sponsor for this season, and that is Doble Motorcycles. A huge shout out for them. And if you are looking for what is a machine, particularly an ATV on 4 wheels, or alternatively, the bike of your dreams on 2 wheels, which is powered by the power of dreams, the ultimate Honda machinery, well then look no further than the #1 Honda motorcycle dealership in the United Kingdom, Doble Motorcycles. And well, I can tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, you're not just buying into fantastic machinery, but you're also buying into fantastic customer service with what is a family-run business which puts performance and motorsport right at the heart of every dealership purchase, and it does mean you're in pole position to receive some of the finest service over the course of what is a purchase for a Honda motorcycle. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we now turn our attentions to a week's time, and well, not a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, in fact, there, as I get my weeks muddled up, and we will be back in 2 weeks' time for round number 2 of the championship, and on Tuesday, the 27th of May, 2025, we will continue the story of Season 3 of the NXTGEN Legends Cup, and it will be at Snetterton's 200 layout. Arguably, while the longest and not the longest circuit on our calendar for our Legends machines, well, there won't be as many laps, but one thing that's certain is there'll be some long straights and also some tight corners with which our drivers to do battle through, and who will prove themselves to be superb at Snetterton. Well, you'll have to tune in a week's time, but until then, we've been NXTGEN Racing. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. Until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, and most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, that's all from us here at NXTGEN Racing, the home of clean and fair sim racing for all.